Alrighty, welcome to the dual Big Lap Roundup special episode 108 of Tokwa's Ask Us Anything. As usual, it's been a pretty busy news week. Updated graphics in Tesla's app version 4.12 hint at a possible inclusion of a powered frunk in future versions of Tesla's new cars. Elon Musk has indicated that SpaceX is undergoing fruitful discussions with Apple to facilitate Starlink data integration with iPhones, potentially using some of Starlink's native frequencies. Such a move would eliminate the need to wait for SpaceX to launch a constellation of much larger version 2 satellites with large 2 GHz GSM antennas. Battery storage production at Giga Nevada is set to hit its straps with the leaking of details of a recent meeting of Tesla employees. The Nevada factory is said to be producing over 6,500 Powerwalls per week and is on target to produce over 440 megapacks this quarter, which is an 85% improvement on Q2. Tesla's Model Y has topped NCAP and ANCAP safety ratings, with it being declared by NCAP as being the safest car it has ever tested. ANCAP reported that the Tesla Model Y demonstrated high levels of performance for its ability to avoid a crash with another vehicle, pedestrian, or cyclist, and maximum points were awarded across the majority of collision avoidance test scenarios. The Model Y is also fitted as standard with a direct driver monitoring system, which uses onboard camera-based monitoring to detect a distracted driver and automatically enhances the sensitivity of the forward collision warning system to be more reactive if distraction or impaired driving characteristics are detected. From 2023, direct DMS functionality will be assessed under ANCAP's 2023 test and rating criteria, a step forward from the assessment of indirect monitoring systems that form part of the current rating criteria. In a testament to how far Tesla has progressed, Martin Viecha, Tesla's head of investor relations, has confirmed its cost to manufacture each vehicle has dropped from $84,000 in 2017 to $36,000 today. Up to now, there have been two accepted revolutions in vehicle manufacturing in the last 120 years. Firstly, Ford with their continuously moving production line producing the Model T, and secondly, Toyota in the 1970s, which optimized production costs through improved manufacturing processes and total quality control. Martin Viecha has now stated that EV architecture is so different from the internal combustion engine, it allows for a third revolution in automotive manufacturing. The pair of Tesla-owning idiots who left Perth on Sunday the 28th of August on a simultaneous contraflow circumnavigation of Australia in their brand new rear-wheel drive Model Ys finally arrived home safely last Saturday and Tuesday respectively. When one of the middle-aged gentlemen was asked how long it took to drive around Australia, all he could come up with was, quote, 2 weeks. Only 2 weeks. And that was this week's news. Alrighty. So if anyone is new, please do feel free to say hello in the next little bit. I'll just give you a chance to do that if you like. And the crowd roars. I think Rick was going to say something, but that might have just been some dishes in the background. Anyway, if you are new, please feel free to say hello anytime, just interrupt. There's no such thing as rude interruptions here. It's all very casual. Has anyone got any news or anything they want to discuss at this early stage of this dual lap roundup special episode?
I think congratulations are in order to you and Pete. I think a fabulous presentation that I'm sure attracted attention right around the country. I know we were locked to it morning and night and whenever we got a chance to pick up the tablet. So I think congratulations, it's fantastic. And it should be recognised, I think, the effort you went to. It's absolutely brilliant. Came across very well.
Yeah, thanks, Pete. And it is actually a big shout out to Peter Petrosky because this is the first time he's done it, and he actually broke my record and did it only in 17 days, which is a remarkable effort for someone who's done it for the very first time. And of course,
let's qualify that. The only reason I was able to do it in that many days is because I, number one, used your charger, Harold, and I had you in my ear the whole time. So would have been closer to 21 days.
And that would make it.
No, I dare say I think you wanted to finish it as fast as you possibly could to get me out of your ear just quietly. So that would have been a relief.
Not at
But
all.
it was a great adventure, and it's something that we're happy to sort of discuss a little bit later on once we've got general questions out of the way. Oh, we're not out of the way, but we've answered some general questions firstly. So I guess the first thing is, are there any people here that have just recently gotten a Model Y or perhaps a Model 3 that have any burning questions? I see thumbs up,
I'm
grumpy
gonna
old man
say-
Nigel
gonna
and Paul.
I think that
I gotta
Bumblebee-
say, your joke about how fast it bloody goes is so true. You know, with the Phantom and the gun. Like Leonie wanted to have a look, so she was having a look, and we were effectively almost first in line. And no shit, I think they did 10 Teslas in the time she was looking over her car and that sort of stuff. So yeah, they were like, "Here's your keys, off you go." And yeah, I was like, "Yeah, we're not leaving until you're ready." So
Yeah, we were there for about half, 3/4 of an hour because I was playing around and inspecting, and I noticed a couple of things, like it didn't have a USB stick in the glove box.
oh,
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I know, because I was trying to get the Sentry mode, the recording, and it wouldn't come on. So I go, a bloody USB thing wouldn't format. There's nothing there. So I checked that. So they went off and came back and go, no, we haven't got one.
Oh.
So I've got Tesla coming to my house next Tuesday to plug one in.
And let me guess, Nigel, you've probably already plugged in your Samsung solid
I
state
have
drive
got a
already.
250 gigabyte SSD in there, yes. But I had to drive home without one because frequently I have a USB stick in my pocket, but I didn't have one this time. So I was quite upset. I had to drive home without one. Fingers
Deary
crossed.
me.
But anyway, I keep looking for places to go, but I don't feel like driving around Australia at the moment.
Well,
Yeah,
look,
well done
you know,
to you boys.
to be honest, Pete and I had a little bit of a falling out, and we decided that Perth wasn't big enough for the two of us, and we just went in opposite directions to get as far away from each other as we possibly could.
And you still met once.
Just the once. Just the once.
Yeah, we didn't realise it was a circle and they would meet each other again.
Well, you know, I know Chuck, you know, in the States, Chuck does his famous unprotected left turn, and that's all I'm capable of doing. So I just kept the coast to my right and just kept turning left, and eventually it worked.
NASCAR drivers would be proud. It really gives a new meaning to circle work, though, doesn't it?
Yes, a rather large diameter circle, that's for sure. Dear. But yes, it was excuse me, it was awesome to meet Pete at Barclay Homestead. It's something that we literally did not plan. We had initially thought that we would sort of end up meeting somewhere on the road, and we were trying to war game how we would do that. We'd probably, one car would have to go on the wrong side of the road, and we'd go off the road so it's safe, and you know, pop the drone up quickly to try and document it and all that sort of stuff. But in the end, it was really too easy. Well, I think, Pete, were you waiting for about an hour and a half for me, I think, roughly?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, a couple of hours. Yep.
So, yeah, so it was pretty cool. So we got to overnight. We then neatly avoided having to do the 450 kilometres in just one leap, which was sort of one hypermile session that we could gladly do without.
Yeah.
And it ended up really well.
So the efficiency of the vehicles, I noticed Pete's was was it 160 something?
156, 90.
156. What was yours, Harold? Because you went a bit
I-
faster.
I think mine was 161 from memory.
Yeah.
I think it was 161. And I did a
That's
little...
pretty reasonable.
Yeah, especially since both of us were blasting up and down the Hume Highway at the speed limit, which in many places was 110. And actually, I was doing a little bit of 130 at night on the way
Oh, I
up to
didn't hear
Catherine.
that.
No, you can hear
Oh,
it
you were
because
in
that's the legal speed limit. Yeah, that is the speed limit in the Northern Territory. And a little bit later on, I've got some footage of a kangaroo that removed my passenger side wheel arch trim. Thankfully, that's all it did. So neither of us came off completely unscathed. Pete, you had a slight vehicle injury.
Yes, I was unlucky enough to get 2 stones onto the windshield, and within only about 10 mil of each other. And because there was 2 cracks, the windshield place said, we can't do anything with it. It has to be a whole windshield replacement. Initially, it was just sort of 2 tiny little dents, and then one of them started spreading. And so they just said, no, it's got to be a new windscreen, unfortunately. So, but yeah, Tesla's been really good. Booked it through the app. It was available the same day, so I could have had a new windshield the same day. But yeah, I just booked it for next week because that was more convenient. I think they're charging about a little bit over $1,100, which I thought was reasonable. So, insurance will cover it, of course.
Yeah, cool. And my wheel arch trim is coming, I think, next Monday. So it missed the truck for a couple of days ago. But yeah, shout out to Jason Stanley. I actually asked him. He was at Tesla at the time when I rang him, and he would manage to get the part number so I could easily order the part, which excuse me, currently is somewhere in the side of the road between Three Ways and Catherine, about 50 k's out of Mataranka.
Maybe Pete can pop back there and have a look for you.
Well, I actually left my chair, my picnic chair and picnic table behind at Nanatura, and yeah, Harold picked that up for me when he went past.
Yeah, look, I drove about 7,500. No, it was more than that. It was probably 12,000 kilometres the long way just to pick up Pete's stuff at Nanyatara. So you're welcome, Pete. It's in my garage as we speak. But it was actually funny because when I did rock up, this gentleman recognised my car, and I think he sort of thought it was Pete's because we had the same map, obviously. And he goes, "Oh, you're the table and chair man. You're the table and chair man." I go, "What are you talking about? I'm going around Australia. What do you mean?" "Oh, you left your table and chair here." And it's like, "Oh, that must have been Pete." And he goes, "Oh, yeah, that's right. He looked a bit different to you, slightly." So anyway,
area. So I've just been doing some back of the napkin maths, and at 160-ish watt-hour per kilometre, that means the range is, depending on how you count the battery size, somewhere between about 350 and 370 at that speed. Does that map out?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
The battery capacity is about 60 kilowatt hours or 6.5.
Yeah, which make it closer to the 370 end of my maths, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's interesting what the batteries have been doing. When we first got our cars, Harold's had a slightly, I think, 1 kilowatt hour larger usable amount, but then a 1 kilowatt hour smaller buffer. But yeah, the buffer and the usable amount has been changing around quite a bit. I got to a stage where I had a 10 kilowatt hour buffer, and yeah, the usable amount went down to about 50 kilowatt hours. So,
what is the range of the rear wheel Model Y? The weight.
The stated range on Tesla's website is 455 kilometres. When you fill it to 100%, it shows 435 kilometres.
Mine showed 436. Yeah.
How many kilograms?
That's because it's blue.
What's the weight? Did you go over any weigh bridges?
No, they're all closed, frustratingly. I went through, well, Pete probably did the same, went through quite a few, but they were all closed because I was itching to actually get the weight of the car. Although having said that, the weight would have been me plus other stuff.
It's 1,900 kilos and a bit.
The performance Model Y is obviously a lot heavier.
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, the SR is rated at 1929.
And do you know the performance? Ken?
I don't have the performance in front of me. I just looked up the SR Plus. I can look.
I think it might not be a hell of a lot heavier, because bearing in mind that the LFP batteries themselves are lower density and are heavier, well, a heavy pack. So it might not be as big a difference as you might think. I'm just guessing like maybe 200 kilos tops, but
Oh, no. It's about 85. I've just ordered a Model Y Performance, so I've been looking at it.
2000,
2002 kilos.
yeah, 2002, 2003, depending on who you ask.
compared to 19.
29.
Oh, there you go. So you're right, Richard. At 80 kilos, it's just a person. And bearing in mind that's actually
75, yeah.
that's also includes a front motor, which probably weighs
Yeah, pretty close
50,
to that.
60, 70 kilos, 80 kilos perhaps. Yeah.
Yeah.
And transmission.
Because remember, they're switching from NCA to LFP batteries, which are less dense. So I think most of the difference in weight is the front motor.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I got a little question about the thumb drive. My solid state drive was getting full, so easy way, I just hit the format drive on the touch screen inside the car. Formatted fine, but it didn't create the Tesla Cam folder, so it never reinitiated and started using Sentry mode. So I actually had to then pull it out, bring it on, plug it in the computer, create that folder. Has anyone had that issue? Because
Yep, I have in my Model X. That exact same thing happened to me. The strange thing was I actually got the car to format the drive, which I believed to actually erase it, and then it still wouldn't work. Then I put, like you did, Damon, I then put into a laptop and just created that folder, and then it suddenly worked. The really strange thing though was one of my older clips still survived. Now I don't know whether that's on the thumb drive or the car put it on the thumb drive from its internal buffer or something, but there was a super old clip that had survived, it seems, survived the formatting process. So I don't even know how that happened. But anyone with a Model 3 or well, the Ys are too new for that to have happened. Anyone with an older Model 3 have this a similar problem as Damon?
Can't think that I had. I mean, I've
No,
formatted
it's
the drive in my 3 quite a few times. And I don't think I had that problem at all.
No, I
think
haven't had
it's
that
just
problem on the
the
S
coding
either.
with-
It always creates the Tesla Cam folder and names the drive Tesla drive.
okay, might be just a Model X thing.
Could be, because yeah, like you, Damon, I've had exactly the same experience. Oh no, and Jason Stanley as well.
Right.
So he's had the same issue.
It's a legacy Model X feature.
It just makes me like my Model Y more. Poor Model X. It is a good car.
Speaking
Anyway, moving right along.
Speaking of weird idiosyncrasies in Model 3s, I've got the latest update that has the cloud profiles for so 24.6, I think it is. And my seat position is just totally off. Like it doesn't remember where the back position, it just lanes me all the way back because I use easy entry. I've tried resetting it. I've tried calibrating the seats. Mind you, don't sit in the seat if you do the seat calibration. It almost folds you in half, going all the way forward. But now, after the calibration, it seems to have saved my seat position. But when it goes to easy entry, when you get out of the car, it's fine. And then you get back in the car, put it in drive, and it doesn't change to my profile, but it stays on easy entry, but then tries to fold me in half again.
You've got to, well, there's a couple of things that you've got to do with that, Andrew. One is you've got to ensure your key, which is your phone, is registered to that profile.
Yep.
I've got a 3, and I did that in my 3 and set it all up on my cloud profile. I got into my new Model Y and it moved things, and the easy entry was way back there somewhere. The seat. So I adjusted it all with the easy entry selected and left it at that and go, and it's worked fine ever since. The only thing that I have noticed is my rear view mirrors When I go
Yeah.
into reverse, go down. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine. And then in
They
a
don't
good
come back up.
position. And when I do easy entry, they go all the way down, and they're looking at the bloody front wheel almost. They couldn't go any further. And I go into the settings, adjust it with the easy entry, move them up. Yep, that's good. Okay, there's no way to save it. It's grayed out. So it's still going down. So when Colin or Ben come on Tuesday,
Yeah.
sort that out, you bastards.
Yeah, let us know how you go with that, because it's only since this update occurred that it just
Yeah.
it
So is
can't
anybody
remember.
else noticing the rear view mirrors going down
Yeah.
in easy entry in the Y?
So, Rick, you have.
I haven't really driven it.
You haven't driven yours yet, Paul.
Well, it's Leone's.
It's Leone's. Yeah.
I have driven it once, and it's very nice. It's not as quick as my car. So if it was as quick, like if it was a performance one, I might nick it off it, because the seats, I'm sitting in the seats and it's very comfy. It's so weird because it's the same seat, but yeah, definitely.
Yeah, the leg position is different.
Yeah,
because
I'm a
Is,
bit taller. Sorry, yeah.
is easy entry just a thing for Model 3s and Ys, or do S and X have it? Because, well, I mean, I've got no profile for easy entry. Is it just the Model 3
There
and
is-
Y?
There is an easy entry for S's and X's as well, Damon. You just got to create it.
Okay. Just
I
easy
think-
entry.
I think it's there. It should be there as a profile, unless you've deleted it.
No, the only thing that was standard profile was valet mode.
If you
Like,
go
I'm-
into your profile,
Yeah.
and then there should be,
There's a
you
tick
know,
box,
under
like a
profiles, there should be a toggle switch saying easy entry, and that's how you link
Okay.
it. Yeah,
Okay, I'll check that out.
no worries.
Try making one though and call it easy entry and see if that then gives you the toggle switch.
That's certainly possible. Absolutely.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be called easy entry. It can be called whatever you like. And then there's a checkbox, which you then just select to make that the easy entry profile.
Okay.
Cool. Now, with these cloud profiles, do any of your navigation destinations or stuff you've been to before, does that copy across as well?
No, it didn't. That I noticed. I've been entering new places that I've been to in the 3, in the Y. It didn't bring any of those across.
And none of your previous charging locations, perhaps like new ones that you've been to, do they appear in your Y as well? Or probably not, I guess.
No.
In my 3, when I first got in it after the update, it gave you the option of copying from your Tesla profile, like copying the information from a different profile into that one. So that seemed to work for me, and it's still got all the stuff in it.
So the cloud profile is supposed to save seat positions and that. So obviously
should
they
do.
wouldn't have transferred from the 3 to a Y because the seating positions would be different. But if you went from a 3 to another 3, would that then bring that seating position from your previous 3?
Yes. Yes.
But because going to a Y, obviously you are going to be sitting in a different seating position. It doesn't bring that across.
I would have thought it would do its
It'd be
best
close.
effort.
Yeah.
It would sort of try and, well, it would probably be relative position to the steering wheel, perhaps, or
Right.
I don't know.
Okay.
Well, as I said, the easy entry one, the back of my driving seat was all the way down on the back passenger seat.
That's very easy entry, isn't it? That's sort of horizontal entry.
I don't know about lazy entry, about easy.
What kind of entry are we talking about here?
Nigel, get your tech to change it over when it comes out to do your service.
Sorry?
Get the tech to change when they come out to do a service on your vehicle.
Get him to change what?
Your easy entry mirror position.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to.
Just today found out my driver's seatbelt is frayed. If you pull the seatbelt all the way out, and it's the last foot it's actually frayed, which you don't normally pull it all the way out. And it's actually to the point that it actually needs to be replaced. So it's only about 2.5 years old. But you don't normally pull it out that fast. So it's actually on the actual roll itself. So I'd say recommend, if you've got a vehicle with a couple of years old, pull your seatbelt all the way out and just check, because it's getting replaced, but it's scary that it's actually frayed over just 2.5 years.
It's interesting. So is it frayed in one line, or is it just on the edges, or?
On just one side, yeah, on like 5 mil is actually worn down 5 mil on one side of the belt for
Yeah,
about
right.
the first 300 mil.
Gee,
We got
it's a-
an alert on our car, on our Model 3, about the seatbelt, saying it needs replacing, it's no longer safe or something, and we've got a service request in and they're ordering parts. I haven't done that, pull it out. I don't know why it's unsafe. It didn't feel unsafe, but yeah, we got an alert coming up on the screen. You would have thought if yours was frayed that much that it would have detected something was wrong.
You might
I
have,
wonder if it might have been the pre-tensioner, Joe. Maybe it's detected that the firing
Yeah,
mechanism for that might be faulty, and maybe that's what it is.
I can't remember what the
Possibly.
actual message was, but it was something about, yeah, that driver's seatbelt is faulty. We must request a service. So we requested a service and they said we need a part, but now the message doesn't come up anymore, so it's no longer faulty. But we're still getting the part anyway. So
Yeah, it's interesting. Every now and then I've had I don't know if it was a passenger airbag fault or it detected a fault, or might have been the rear, or could have been a rear seatbelt, but it sort of came up, this is in the Model X, and it came up with just this isolated fault, which would then go away for sort of many months. So, and then occasionally come back. So maybe it's an intermittent thing. But I guess in your case, Joe, if they're going to change it anyway, well, so be it.
yeah, they want to change it. We did ask, can we still drive? Is it safe to drive? And they said, yes, it's safe to drive. It's just if you're in a crash, it might not save you or something like that. So that's like, okay.
Yeah, so it sounds like the pre-tensioner. I've got a feeling because
Something like
all
that.
those, the airbag and all those circuits, they have a series resistor that it measures, that it can see that it's actually present and hasn't been unplugged. So maybe it's just detected it as a fault.
Okay.
But
So
you've
it
got the
couldn't
airbag.
detect the spray then, like in Damon.
No,
Right.
afraid not.
oh, it's awful.
Oh,
Very good.
Yes,
fantastic.
Champagne asks us anything today.
Oh, awesome.
Amazing.
Okay, is anyone new that's brave enough to say hello, or do you want to just lurk? It's perfectly good to lurk. Nope, and the crowd roars. Okay, we'll move
I
right
was there
along.
on there before. I just want to say hi. I picked up my I'm Christian. I picked up my Model 3, our Model 3, like about 3 weeks ago. I said hi on last Sunday when we I saw you, Harold. Brave efforts, Pete and Harold. It's awesome. I saw even ABC has picked up a couple stuff of you. It's good to see. It's good to get the message out there. I have a question about the hypermiling. I mean, not that I'm gonna do this, but when you were saying like you went from Broome to Fitzroy Crossing, I hope I said
Yes.
that right.
Yep.
And these are indeed 400 kilometers. And as you said, like normally the range 350, 370. What speed did you have to go down to? I heard somewhere like 80 kilometers an hour.
Yeah.
How much did you have left
I
when you
think
arrived?
I usually don't let myself be left with too much because I kind of don't want to leave too much on the table. But look, initially I started before dawn, so it was dark, and I like to sort of drive a bit slowly anyway, because of kangaroos and other things. I did start out at about, I think it was 65, but I very quickly went to 70 just to get the runs on the board. And then I moved fairly quickly to 80 Ks an hour and then 90. and I did most of the trip at 90, and then the latter part I sort of sped up to basically 110, and then I think about 20 k's out of Broome, the speed limit sort of goes down to 100 anyway. And there were also some road works which sort of slowed me down and was good for economy. Now, the thing that really affects the range isn't so much the temperature and whether you got the aircon on or whatever. In Australia, the big thing is the chip seal roads. So up north or in remote areas, you've got, I think it's about 15 millimeter, basically blue metal stone chips that basically pressed into tar. And it's a very hard wearing, surface that, lasts for a long time. But all that road noise that you hear, all the tire noise, is basically wasted energy. And it's actually a surprisingly high amount of wasted energy. So that's what I found actually killed range more than anything else. I was blasting up the Hume Highway at the speed limit at 110, and I was getting some ridiculously low consumption figures like 146 watt hours per kilometer at 110.
It's amazing for like how tall the Y is compared to the 3. That's staggeringly good.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is at the speed limit. So that just shows how good the aerodynamics are. But unfortunately, you can't beat the physics of a chip seal road, which, I don't know if that's a mainly Australian thing. They certainly are very hard wearing roads. So Pete, how was your experience?
Yes, very similar to yours, Harold, actually. Started out before dawn, early in the morning. Went slow for 2 reasons. One, to conserve energy early in the trip, because you want to get some runs on the board, and then, you've got extra to spend at the end. That's a much better way to go than the other way around. To try and avoid kangaroos, etc. So, started off slowly.
100%.
And didn't just start off slowly in terms of speed, but I really watched my acceleration as well. So, just got out of the blocks really slowly. And but I think I was pretty lucky to catch a truck, I remember, from Broome to Fitzroy Crossing. So a road train. So I tucked in behind him on autopilot and just let autopilot do it from a safe distance. So that really helped the range as well. It's always a double-edged sword trying to catch or draft behind a truck, because especially early in the journey, if you don't have enough up your sleeve, you're potentially risking wasting a lot of energy trying to get behind the truck. And, different trucks are different profiles, and depending on the speed that they're doing, it may help you and it may not. So, you could waste a whole lot of energy only to let that truck go, and then you're sort of back to square one, which is a bit deflating. But I initially thought with this truck that that it wasn't helping me much, but decided to persist for a little while longer, and then the numbers started coming through. So it ended up paying off in the end. But
can you elaborate a little bit more on that, Pete? Like, so at what point, I would thought like this gives you at least 20% better range, because there's so much like wind that you basically don't have to push aside if you go behind the truck. At what point, like, would you reckon is it not helping you? Like that I would like to know.
Yeah, so depending on the length of the journey, depending on how close you are, depending on the profile of the truck, etc., whether it's a road train or a shorter truck, blah blah, whether whether the wind is, whether it's a tailwind or a headwind. But generally speaking, you can afford to go close to 100 behind a truck, and in terms of efficiency, it's equivalent to roughly about 80 without one. you know, if you get it right. So yeah, like you said, 20% basically. So yeah, so it can make a huge difference. But then, you know, there was other trucks like yesterday, and I persisted with that one, and it did help, but it was only marginal. So which I was quite surprised, because had a really big headwind yesterday, so I thought it would have been better. But
Is it follow distance position 1, or are you manually doing it?
no, 2. One thing with the Model Y is 2 is the shortest distance that you get. So
At
yeah,
the
there is-
moment, because of Tesla Vision.
Yeah.
That's for all cars.
Yeah.
Yep. Sorry, go, Pete.
no, yeah, that's I was just saying, yeah, you don't.
I just want to pick up on one thing you said, Pete. When you were taking off, you said you weren't accelerating fast to try and conserve energy. Does that
Yeah.
really use that much to be concerned about? Like, if you, I'm not saying floor it, but if you just go, you know, gingerly up to 60 k's an hour, like you take off from the lights or whatever in normal traffic, does that actually use more power overall, like in the grand scheme of things, when you're traveling 400 kilometers?
It definitely uses more mental energy.
Yeah.
You put your foot on the accelerator, you accelerate a bit too hard, and then you start seeing the numbers drop, and you sort of mentally you're starting behind the 8 ball from where to go. Whereas,
but
you know,
you're only talking about a couple of like 10, 20 seconds in a 3-hour journey.
Still
If you're
chews
not-
up a
if
lot
you're
of
not
juice.
stopping.
That acceleration chews it.
say again, Peter?
That initial acceleration really chews up the juice. If you
Yeah.
floor it, whereas if I'm on an economy run, I accelerate very gradually. It does make a big difference, because you can throw a lot of electrons out the window with that initial hard acceleration.
For 2 reasons. Well, one is, because you got colder temperatures, the pressures in the tires aren't as much. I mean, sometimes like on the really, really long runs, I mean, sometimes it took me 20 minutes to get up to speed. So I really accelerated. I mean, I didn't use the accelerator. So I go to 20, 30K an hour,
Yeah.
whack it on autopilot. I mean, don't forget, this is 4 o'clock in the morning. There's no one around you for, there's some parts of the trips, where a 400-kilometer journey, and I saw less than half a dozen cars all up in either direction. So, but yeah, literally take 15, 20 minutes so I start on 20K an hour, put it on autopilot, or 25, 30K an hour. There's a speed at which autopilot won't engage, below which it won't engage. I can't remember what it is, but it's somewhere around 20, 30K. And then I would just go up by 1 notch at a time on the scroll wheel and what I try to do also is try and increase my speed downhill and just sort of leave it the same going up, up a slope. I don't know if that actually makes much of a difference, but mentally I thought it did. So
Yeah, cool. Now, one thing that Pete and I did have a slight benefit of is this very rough app that I made. And what you can see there, this is actually the trip between Fitzroy Crossing and Broome. Well, it's only, the first probably 100 odd Ks, 115 Ks. But what it basically showed was at this stage, I had to get 145 watt hours per kilometre average. And, for the last 50 Ks, I was averaging 100 watt hours. So obviously this is just the battery. That would have been 100%. And at the bottom right-hand corner is 0 and the end of the journey. So clearly if I could maintain 100 watt hours per kilometre for the rest of the journey, I'd make it with plenty left. But if you contrast that with another screen, this was a shorter trip, only 311 Ks. And you can sort of see how I'm actually closer to the bone where I required 186 watt hours, but I was averaging 173. So when Pete was saying he was sort of like seeing how he was going, he was using this app as well, which all it does is it just tells you how many kilowatt hours are left. Up here, 29 and a half, and how far you've got in the journey. And it just divides this number by that to get you how many watt hours you need. And because Pete and I were doing some more advanced driving, as in, we were sort of, in one sense, exploring the edges of what you can or should do. I was at Portsmouth Caravan Park, and for various reasons, I had to short charge my car. I wanted to get to Pardue before 7, but one challenge you have is the longer you wait, the more charge you have in your car, but also the later you'll get to your destination. And there was a reason that I wanted to get there at 7, because they were effectively going to shut at 7. In the end, I got there at 7:45, and that was another issue. But so I was really short on charge and had to really ride the glide slope. And my car militantly at the start of the journey, the trip computer said I'd arrive with -18, and it fought me the whole way, even though I was going steadily. It then conceded -15%, -12%, -8%. It never ever conceded anything more than 0, and that was at 3 kilometers to go. It said, "Oh, maybe you'll end up with nothing," and then with 1 kilometer to go, it said, "Oh, 1%," and that's what I arrived on, at 1%. So if you're using something like this sort of app, which it's not publicly available because it's kind of rubbish. I mean, it's kind of rough. You can sort of really ride the glide slope, but if you're using Tesla's ordinary trip computer, it will say things like, well, you're just not going to make it, because it expects you to drive at the speed limit. But if you drive slower, for every 10% you go slower, you'll get an extra roughly 14% of range.
Pete, can I just jump in here a sec?
Sure.
Just to clarify, Peter and Harold had a daily task to achieve. Like they didn't want to be stopping at roadhouses halfway between Broome and Fitzroy Crossing. So the reason they were doing these 400-kilometre trips was to sort of save time over the whole day. The general tourist who's going to take 7 or 8, 9, 10 weeks to do the Australia trip, they don't need to do these long 400-kilometre drives, because there are charging options in between. Like in your case, the case of that trip, the Willair Bridge Roadhouse, or going to Derby. So
So on PlugShare, you've got Fitzroy Crossing here and you've got Broome here, and there's nothing in between. This is in 3-phase, except for Derby. But Derby is, I think the turn off, it's 40 kilometres each way, so that's an 80 kilometre wastage to go to Derby. And you're right, Rob, at Willair, there would be 15 amp outlets, so you could then charge your car with a whole 18 kilometres of range per hour at the Roadhouse.
And that's another reason why you want to start off slow and sort of have a bit up your sleeve. Because I remember, and I was talking to both Rob and Harold on this drive, I remember coming up to Derby and just sort of having a look and thinking, okay, at this stage I can make it. I don't need to turn off a Derby. And then at a Willair, same sort of thing. Okay, I either turn off here and charge or go all the way. So, it's now or never. I mean, you can always sort of go a bit further and then try and turn back. But, I actually had to do that a couple of days ago, but for a completely different reason. But, yeah, it's good to have that up your sleeve, because if you start sort of behind the ball early on, then those decisions just become exponentially harder.
Is there a planned DC charger to go in that gap for the rollout?
Yes, there is. And I think it's at Willair, actually. I don't have that map. I'll take that one on notice. I'll fish out the map. Actually, it's on Synergy's website, which I'll get in 2 seconds.
Is that the biggest gap that you guys had to navigate? Was
I
there
think
other
Horizon
ones
have put the charger into Derby and not Wallaire.
Yeah, that's right. Unfortunately, yeah. So that's correct, Damon. That's the 400 kilometre gap. That's the biggest, and as you can see, basically, yeah. Unfortunately, it seems they're going to put this charger in Derby, which, like I said, isn't. If it is actually in Derby proper, that is an 80 kilometre extra leg to the trip between Fitzroy Crossing and Broome.
Well, it's
Because
Because
it's
it's-
But as Rob said, most people that would be doing that wouldn't be just going to do it as fast as possible. And Derby's not a bad spot to stop.
Yes, absolutely. As a tourist destination, yes, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah,
There's
absolutely.
There's some beautiful spots up there like Halls Creek. They offer a beautiful tourist package, lots of activities at night, lawn bowls. Yeah, lots of things up in Halls Creek Way, and yeah,
Rock throwing.
We've got a story about Halls. I've got a story about Halls Creek. We'll do a little bit later, which was
they
a
offer a good
it's a-
tyre service there. They
yes. The tie they got. I did see the tire spikes. They're just like syringes or needles from syringes. They're hollow and they work really well. But we'll get to that a little bit later. But yeah, so Derby is going to be a stop in between Broome and Fitzroy Crossing.
Harold, Norm Nicolette had a hand up a while ago and
Oh,
he's taken it down.
Sorry,
So I don't
Norm.
know if he's still got something that he wants to say.
Apologies, Norm. I was spending too much time looking at the camera and not at the screen.
I'm going to do a trip to Margaret River and then to Walpole in October. I was just wondering about the trip back from Walpole back to Perth. What would your suggestion be for charging there? Because I'll be, say, using the supercharger at Margaret River and then driving from there to Walpole. But it's the driving back that I'm wondering.
Okay, so if you look at PlugShare, you've obviously got charging at Walpole.
Yes.
Now you can use the Pemberton fast DC charger,
Yep, or Bridgetown.
or Bridgetown, or Nanup if you're going that sort of direction, or if you're just going straight up. Yeah, actually, I guess from Walpole you could easily make Bridgetown.
Yep, that's
Just
that's
do
what
it.
I did. That's what I did on my last run from there. I did Walpole, Bridgetown, and then Bridgetown, Eton, because Donnybrook was broken, and I think it still is.
Let's have a quick look.
Or has it finally been
Oh,
replaced?
so we show 19
that's-
kilowatts.
That's looks like that's just using the AC.
Bill Sinclair's gotten 40 on the
well, that's-
23rd of August. Is
That's
that since
great
you've?
news. Yeah, that's great news. That's good.
Cool.
So yeah, those ChargeFox RAC chargers on the road through Bridgetown up are certainly a good option.
There you go, Norm. It's easy peasy.
Or you're going to cut across to Albany Highway and go up Albany Highway. Is that an option?
You could. It's a bit of a long way round from Walpole.
Yeah, I don't think there's any real through. That's a forest national park, so
No.
there's no real
And-
route through that.
And the other thing, of course, you got to remember is the road from Walpole up through the Mount Franklin National Park is not 110. It's only at 90 most of the way, so you'll use significantly less.
There you go.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, Nigel, for that heads up.
The other
Yeah,
one
and,
was what about the borrowing the spare wheel and stuff? I've sent an email. Maybe you can
When are
reply
you
to the email.
when are you going, Norm?
17th of October.
Yeah, that'll be
and
fine.
Back on the
Just-
20th.
Just give me a call on 62623131. That's
Okay.
the Tokwa helpline number.
Yeah.
Or you can send me a text.
Don't forget to get his credit card number too.
yeah, it's changed. We've got a new program. with that one, but I'll share that later.
Thanks for that, Harold.
I think you muted yourself, Harold.
Oh, sorry. Just give me a text on that number, or ring me on that number as well. It's totally fine.
Preferably after 11 p.m. at night.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, please do that after 11.
For the
Yeah.
late night pickups from Northbridge.
Dearie me.
I've got a question for Pete. I've been waiting all day to ask this question. So, Pete, Harold would have stopped in at most of the 5-star hotels along the way for accommodation. Yourself, where did you stay and shower? I'm led to believe that you spent, well, look on your face, a lot of the time in the car. Is there any truth in that, or?
Well, yes, it is true. Harold stayed in 5-star accommodation, but that wasn't quite good enough for me. You see, I demand much better facilities than that. So I went for the 10-star option, being the Tesla itself. Yeah, no, it was very comfortable.
Did you wake up early with the sun?
Say again?
Did you wake up early with the sun? Did you have a plan, or?
I woke up several hours before the sun did, so it was never.
And showering?
Yeah, just had the Bouchon blocks of the caravan parks. So there was one place, I think it was Nullarbor Roadhouse, where they wanted $1 for a 5-minute shower. So you had to take your gold coins with you and put them in for a 5-hour shower at a time, which was quite interesting. But yeah, that was the gold star, gold coins, gold star sort of level of showers there. But no, it was good. I liked it. I slept in the car every single night. So
every night in the car. Okay.
Every night in the car, yeah.
Pete punished himself.
You'll have to give us a car camping demo on Saturday.
Yeah.
So did you make up a custom mattress, or did you just improvise with bits and pieces?
No, I had the test mat. I ordered another one which arrived after I left, but the test mat comes in 3 sections the long ways. I used 2 of the 3 sections and left one for the scooter, the Starling and luggage and other things. And yeah, the 2/3 was more than enough. I picked up I found some yoga mats at Kmart, I think it was, for like $20 each. And so they're about, I don't know, 2 or 1.5 inches thick. And I put 3 of them underneath my test mat. And that allowed me to store the picnic table, the picnic chair and things under there. And yeah, and it meant that it lifted the bed up a bit higher, so I didn't have as much space above me, but it was more than enough. And no, it was very comfortable.
Excellent. Until you left the table and chairs behind, and then
until I left it.
And that was on day 1 too. That was his first day. He left them behind.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Hey, on a separate note, there's a question in the chat from about seat covers. Since you're talking, Pete, do you want to talk about your seat covers for your 3?
Yes, they arrived after I left as well. So, even though I ordered them about 8 weeks prior, but anyway. So yeah, the only seat cover that I had was a white towel just on the bottom. But my plan was to the seat covers that I ordered came in 2 pieces, one for the backrest, one for the bottom part of the seat. And my plan was just to use the one for the bottom part of the seat because I don't know how much you can trust that the airbags will still work properly. All the manufacturers will tell you that they will. But yeah, I just thought, look, you're not really going to, put much dirt on the backrest. I mean, you're more likely to have dirt falling down on the bottom part of the seat. So yeah, that was going to be a plan, but unfortunately the seats didn't arrive. Seat covers.
Where did you order them from?
I ordered those from Teptes, and I'm a little bit upset because when I ordered them, it said free international shipping. And I thought that's pretty good, over a certain amount, and which the order was over that amount. So I thought, okay, that's great. And then it included the price with the shipping, and it said 13 or 15 to 17 working days to deliver, something like that. And then I paid for it, and it still said the same amount. And then apparently they sent an email, which I didn't, it went to trash email, which I didn't see, but I did dig out later, so they did send it, where they said the free shipping is for a ship if you want it sent by an aeroplane. If you wanted the 15 to 17 days, it will be an extra amount, which you can pay. And they didn't even give me a quote, but I imagine it would have been quite a lot. But yeah, if you wanted the shipping to be free, then it's going to take 2 or 3 months or something silly. So, but unfortunately, I missed that email, and which means that I didn't get my stuff. But
It sounds like they scammed you, Pete. I wouldn't feel too harsh.
I'm surprised because they've got a fairly good reputation in the US, Tipters. So and I'm pretty sure I have bought stuff from them before, and they never did anything of the sort. So
there's a lot of scams going out there at the moment. That's for sure. So, yeah.
One thing I was scammed at, I wanted to order a hotel room, and this was at Marlborough in Queensland, and I got this, which was, I was basically girt by wood. These are sort of wood planks. And by the way, that towel, that's not my towel. That was someone else's wet towel that was just hanging on the hook.
That is so special. Is that the 3 ashtray level? That's 3
well, actually, I must admit, they charged me $45, so I guess it wasn't expensive. And
I like the purple toilet in the corner.
Yeah. And the slight worry, being surrounded by wood, obviously, is there used to be a smoke detector, but maybe it made too much noise and someone ripped it out. So I kind of slightly worried that if there was a fire, I might not wake up. But hey, that's showbiz.
No, see, Harold's just got a bit confused there. He just wandered off into the sauna instead, and there just happened to be a bed there, and thought that was his bedroom. But
that's it, exactly.
Explains why they disabled the smoke detector.
Exactly. So unlike Pete, who punished himself, I managed to dodge that bullet. I did bring, like Pete, a memory foam Model Y sectional mattress, but touch wood, I never had to use it in anger. So that's cool.
Did either of you add up your fuel costs, just out of interest?
My supercharging cost was $270. So that would have included, that's Clare, all the superchargers from Clare up to Gympie. That was $270. And the supercharger cost, I think, 69 cents per unit. So to me, owning a Model X that has free unlimited lifetime supercharging, that came as a bit of a shock. But it's still great value. You know, the superchargers are literally awesome. Other places, because of human factors, I had to pay varying amounts for charging. Yeah, sort of like that. In fact, at one of the places that I charged, I did get bitten by a dog. Fortunately, it was on my heel of my sneakers, so the sneakers got the hole and not my heel. But
right,
I haven't added up the whole total. It's many places you charge for free. They were just happy to see you. They didn't want to take any money. Some places were $50 a charge. There were a couple of those. I think there were about 3 of those, just a flat fee. And others were just somewhere in between, or it was a number of cents per kilowatt hour. I think from 44 cents a kilowatt hour to 30 cents a kilowatt hour. So it was sort of all over the place, really.
Okay.
there was one that had a hybrid system or hybrid schedule where you paid $10 as a flagfall, if you like, and that entitled you to use the shower, the toilets, the camping kitchen, etc. And then 40 cents a kilowatt hour thereafter, which I thought was a pretty good system. And there, yeah. But yeah, a lot of the places they were they didn't ask for any money if you're spending the night there or if you're paying for lunch. Others, had varying amounts. The most expensive rate was at Balladonia. That was $1 a kilowatt hour. But even that worked out. I think I put in about 44 kilowatt hours there, so $44. So just rounded it off to $50. And yeah, a lot of the places we gave them more than they asked for, just to make it a good, positive experience for them. And at the end of the day, it just means that they're more likely to keep the charges there, and so yeah, I was just really appreciative to be able to charge. So more than happy. Look, there were others, that had sort of different experiences where they were trying to sort of negotiate the charge being thrown in because they were staying overnight or other issues, and then they had very different sort of charging experiences. I mean, I think I got a pretty good education from Rob and Harold early on, and I think that's definitely the right way to go. Just appreciate that the charges are there, pay extra if you can, spend money there, and support the people that support you. So
it still sounds like it's a fair bit cheaper than normal fuel costs, because I know I worked out what I've paid is a lot more than that.
Oh, absolutely.
So, at a guess at my consumption, if you convert worst case 1 litre of diesel to 5 kilowatt hours of charge of energy, then I think it was roughly 2,100 or maybe it was 2,200 kilowatt hours that I'd consume for the whole trip. I've been averaging the diesel equivalent worst case of about 3 litres per 100 kilometres of diesel equivalent. And that's worst case if it's just a basic diesel generator. Of course, if you've got gas-fired power station, or a lot of towns were solar powered, basically Broome, when I charged at the Cable Beach Club Resort, that was on solar power. And, on the Eastern Seaboard, all of Tesla's superchargers are fed with renewable energy. So,
I worked out that based on 11 litres, 100 kilometres, I worked out it would have cost me about $2,500 in
That's
fuel.
about right. Yep. Yeah, mine was roughly 10 to 11 litres per 100 k's, and that's about what I would pay.
Looking at the statistics, I believe that Harold spent around about $600 on dim sims, and about another $200 on Weet-Bix. What were some of the costs that you did, Pete? Was there a consistent cost of anything? You did a few Chico rolls on the way?
I had a few spring rolls. I remember at one of the places, might have been the place where I left the picnic table behind, but I ordered a cup of, try to start out healthy, carrot sticks, celery sticks, and cucumber sticks or what have you, and then 3 spring rolls, and I think it cost me about $19. That was a bit of a shock to the system straight up, but no, I was happy to pay it. No, I don't think I had any sort of consistent costs apart from food, really.
Okay.
So, yeah, food and charging, obviously. So some of the places just refused to take the money, doesn't matter what you said, but all of them had a RFDS, Royal Flying Doctor Service tin. So, just make a $10 or $20 donation to that, and
Did you try and fit in at all, Pete? Did you like wear a blue singlet tank top, one of those white beaded tank tops with a few gravy stains down the front, like, sort of, sneak in with the truck driver's section and,
Actually, truckies, apart from Harold and Rob, were probably my best friends on the journey. They were really, really good. The CB radio came in very handy. Got onto that. And, I didn't draft behind any truck without asking for permission first. Never forget this one guy. I just said, look, I'm in the white SUV. You just overtook. Any chance I could sort of tag along behind you for a while? He's like, yeah, mate, no worries. Stuck right in. And then he gets on again and says, oh, and feel free to put your lights on. I thought, lights on? I've already got my lights on. What's he talking about? And I said, oh, do you mean my high beams? I thought, surely not. And he goes, yeah, all good, mate. And I thought, hang on. I said, just clarifying, you want me to come right up and turn my high beams on? He goes, yeah, all good, mate. Couldn't believe it.
Doesn't affect them at all.
They do sit high up, and if you're close in, they probably don't see it, and they can adjust their mirrors. But
it's more.
Say again?
It's more scary for them when you're driving along doing 105 kilometres on the Nullarbor, and you're flat out, and then the guy says, I'm coming up behind you, and you go, yeah, it's all clear in the front, and then he overtakes you with a triple trailer doing a 57-metre long trailer, and he overtakes you and he disappears in a few minutes, and you're sitting on 105 and you're thinking, how fast is he sitting on? So I'm sure that you sat behind a few trucks they weren't doing the speed limit. Would that be the case?
There was this section through Queensland, which it seemed like every 30k there would have been 7 or 8k of roadworks. It was just ridiculous. But there was never anyone working on anything. There was just the barricades up, and the speed limit would go to 80, 60 to 40 or whatever. But there'd be no one anywhere. And these trucks, they just kept on going at 100 right through, all of them. And so, what's the point of even having, these signs up? And seriously, these roadworks would go, and I'd be driving there looking around going, where's the actual roadworks? And there wouldn't be any. I couldn't figure out what was being worked on. All there was just the witches' hats and the speeding signs. So, the truckies are pretty good at working out whether you do need to stop or not, or slow down or not.
Over 70% of the roadworks are like that, Pete. It's just so annoying. They have all their signs and stuff there, and there's nothing going on.
Yeah.
That's the Mitchell Freeway at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Every
day when I come home from work, I freaking curse the bastards, and then when I see them, there's 2. And
we get fined if we go through them if someone catches you, but they shouldn't be fined for not picking them up. They got it the wrong way round.
Yeah.
But I think the truck drivers on the whole are just brilliant to drive with. I find them incredibly helpful and very, very thoughtful. They are.
Very thoughtful. Absolutely. I agree. Really, really surprised. Yeah. I've never, communicated with truckies on a CB before, but really easygoing, really helpful. And
they'll do anything for you. They're fantastic guys.
Absolutely. Yeah. Couldn't agree more.
100%. You learn once you're driven across the Nullarbor how much respect you have for truck drivers after you've done it. And the ones that drive regularly. I mean, I flew across Australia 14 billion times when I was touring, and I never drove across. And then when I drove across, I learned how much respect I have for those drivers when they roll up to the venue, and then you see them getting out of the truck and they're like totally exhausted, and you go, now I understand what you went through to get here. You learn a great respect for them, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you both got out of your old cars into a new Model Y. What was the difference? Were they any better, any different, any worse?
Well, a lot of people on the internet have been whinging about the alleged harsh ride on the Model Y, and it's just fictitious. We drove on some of the crappiest roads in Australia, And mind you, some of them were the Hume Highway, some sections, and the Bruce Highway in Queensland, because of the flooding, it had badly affected sections of the road. And, you know, out in the Territory and even WA, there are some god awful, crappy, bumpy, potholed, rutted, corrugated sections of road. And the Model Y just glided over it, basically. You know, it did an awesome job, you know, and it's so comfortable. I mean, I've also got an X with air suspension, and, you know, it's the most expensive Tesla thus far. And I got to say that the Model Y was just as comfortable, really, if not in some cases more comfortable. So it was really awesome. What do you reckon, Pete?
When's your X up for sale then?
Well, I've got to sell now. I've got to move the Tirana, and I've got to change that. Yeah, so I've got to sell the S, because the S has only done, well, a couple of months ago it had done 69,420 kilometers, and I've got the screen capture to prove it. But I'll sell that first, so then I'll hop back in the Model X, and my wife will use the Y, and then I've got a couple of performance Ys coming for the two of us. So then I'll quit my X and possibly the Y. But don't worry, it's not like I'm trying to, you know, quickly sell off a brand new Y. I mean, it's already got nearly 15,000 Ks on the clock, so it's been around a bit. But yeah, so the X will go probably February, March next year, roughly, when the Ys arrive, the performance Ys.
Will you be taking the performance Ys around Australia as well, or no?
No, I think that's a bit excessive, because there's not going to be a lot of difference between the two cars, to be honest. The only advantage you get with the longer range, really, well, apart from the big gaps are a little bit easier, but, you know, there's not that many of them. The real advantage is, let's say, the extra 50 or 100 kilometers you get on your first drive, because your car is full when you wake up in the morning. And any charging at night is free charging as far as time is concerned. It doesn't matter how long it takes, as long as it's full by the time you wake up. So really, there wouldn't be a big time difference between a long range Y or the short range, well, not short range, standard range Y. I mean, maybe when I get my X in a couple of years, replacement X, maybe I might do a lap. Definitely one in the Cybertruck. I think that, you know, there'll be probably a few of us doing that in the Cybertruck, you know, in Cybertrucks. So yeah,
Do a
we'll see what
convoy.
happens. Well,
got a great
I've got
convoy.
in the planning to do a lap in a Tesla Semi, because I think that's just going to be the most awesome thing ever. But wouldn't it be better to have a
Do it with the
sexy
kit,
cars? No, we need to do sexy cars. So we need to have the Semi, we need to have the Model 3, the Model Y, the Model S, the Model X, possibly a Roadster.
Semi, no problem.
Yeah.
And, you know, and they can all draft behind the Semi. I can be the
put 'em in
street
the
sweeper, or put them
Where
in the
you gonna
Semi.
charge
That's
them?
right. Yeah, well,
That's going to
I
take a
was
hell of a
thinking,
long
like,
time in an AC charger, Harold.
I was thinking the kit, you know, the back comes down and your Cybertruck comes out and looks like the future. That'd be great.
See,
Well,
Harold
I'd definitely be in that
Harold
with the Cybertruck.
Harold could carry all
Oh,
the
sorry,
trucks
Pete.
in the trailer. He could carry
I
all.
could almost carry all the other cars in the back of the Semi. Yeah, that's right, in the trailer.
You
So I
take a
could-
couple of John Edwards, that biodiesels up there, and just go forever. Just put a biodiesel in the back of the Semi, then put a car in as it needs charging, and when it finishes charging, roll it back out the back and continue on the way. And then as cars need to keep recharging, just keep doing that.
Just
No,
like Ryder.
you need solar panels on the roof of your Semi so you can charge everything else.
Oh, that'll
Yes,
charge the Semi.
frustrating that I don't have a heavy combination license. I've only got a heavy rigid, so I can drive the Semi as the prime mover, but I can't tow anything. But hey, you know, that gives me the impetus to up my skills and get that other ticket.
It'll be fabulous.
MC. Go straight for an MC, Harold.
Oh no, I'm happy with a HC. HC's okay. don't need a multi. Just one trailer will do. And the great thing is with the trailer, you could have solar panels on the roof, and then on the side, you could have solar panels on the sides, which you then prop up on hinges. So that would triple the roof area of the trailer, which would be awesome.
Put 'em up at night when you're
And
sleeping.
you hit a bird at 110.
I'm working with a guy at the moment who's putting solar panels on the sides of container ships. Well, not container ships, but the sides of containers, big banks of them so that they fold out from the side of the container.
Yep.
And then he's providing inside the container refrigeration. Refrigeration is powered by the solar panels on the side of it. It's working very well.
Which are effectively actually also somewhat quasi-insulating the actual container itself as well from the sun, because you know it's absorbing 20% of that energy to get the electricity. Now, speaking of hitting things, I'm going to preface this with the kangaroo that is going to be featured in this footage did not survive. So if anyone's squeamish, now's the time to pause, or just flick it forward a few minutes if you're in YouTube land. But this is basically me drafting behind. Well, not really drafting, because as you can see, there's quite a fair distance between the two of us. But this is a guy in the Northern Territory doing the speed limit, which is 130. And what you'll see, I think we just went past it, is that kangaroo.
There it is.
Is that Skippy?
So that's
It's only a little baby.
it's not that big. Now, if you look look closely at the back of this car, you'll see there'll be a bright flash.
Yeah.
See that flash?
Yeah.
And in fact, what I'll do is I'll go to the other, I think it's on the left repeater. What's super interesting is that was actually the hazard lights come on just for that split second, which is exactly what happens when the car is in a collision. So what I surmise is that the car actually detected a collision, and it was already prepping the hazards to come on and stay flashing if it was like a full frontal with airbag deployment and all that sort of stuff. But clearly it detected it, but then it realized that it wasn't increasing in severity and therefore stopped. So you also see the same flash. It's a bit more obvious right there. And if you look closely, I can't quite get that flash.
You're not
This
on.
black-
Harold.
Oh, sorry. Apologies. This thing here is my wheel arch trim. So
Oh, wow.
you'll see the flash, and that flash is actually the hazards.
Amazing.
And that's the wheel arch trim. I can't get the other image because it doesn't skip, but it basically, all it did was peel off the wheel arch trim, and there was no other damage. Well, there was no damage, it was just missing the trim, which
was having special
It's
sleeps.
an ablative collision shield.
Sheer luck, I think. That's
It's
real.
an ablative collision shield, like on a space shuttle.
yes.
So
And you can actually,
how much is that going to cost?
I don't actually know, to be honest.
Okay. That's okay.
But I think it will be in the order of $70, $80, because it's not a big piece of trim. It's just that black trim over your wheel arch, or that you see on the Model Ys.
Are you going to send it to Wham Bam Tesla Cam, Harold?
I didn't send the one. I haven't yet sent the one where I missed a kangaroo in my Model X towing a trailer. Yeah, I mean, maybe I could. I'd have to package it up a bit nicer. But what I thought was really interesting was the fact that the car clearly detected the collision, and I got to say, it was super loud, and it was super scary. And now I'm kicking myself. I didn't stop because I just thought, oh, that's just cost me $2,000 in caved-in bumper and God knows whatever else. So then I got up to Mataranka and I did the slow walk around the car because it was really brightly lit street. Did the slow walk, almost grimacing, having a look, and yeah, to my astonishment, all it was that wheel trim, except it was now 50 kilometers behind me. So that would have been a 100K return trip just to get it. And it's like, I didn't have the energy for that, nor the time. So I've I'm going to post a reward for anyone that can find it in 50
you say
kilometres
lucky?
south of Mataranka in the Northern Territory.
And they can post it to you without the kangaroo bits on it.
Preferably, yes, please. Yes, that would be lovely. Yes. But there you-
Pete, did you have any issues? Apparently, there was some story going around that when you were on the Gold Coast that you had a collision with a meter maid. Is there any truth in that? Or she jumped out at you and you whacked her with the door. Is that
God.
any truth in that one, or anything? anything,
Sounds like
anything
a story we can share.
Oh no, it's a story that I was
You're
hearing.
just determined to get me in trouble, Jared, aren't you?
Get you on
I
film.
actually didn't even see any meter baits. Unfortunately, would have been good to see some, but
Yeah,
no.
you got there after Harold, didn't you?
Yes, I'd already scared them off. They all got onto their chat platforms and said, "Watch out for dodgy middle-aged men in white
Yeah.
Model Ys, poverty pearl white Model Ys with Australian maps on them."
And they'd have a special smell going on. You know, that smell that you've slept in the car for 19 days.
It's the new car smell. Actually, it's that new car smell.
How
that
many
permeates.
detailers have knocked back the job of cleaning your car, Pete? How many have said we're not going to
many-
touch that?
But it's actually interesting. The car, it still has that new car smell, even
Really?
though, yeah, I would have. I was surprised. I got into the car today to go somewhere, and yeah, I could smell new car. Quite amazing. So
Definitely.
Yes, I definitely believe that, Pete, for sure. I do.
I do
Hey,
too.
Pete, quick question. Are they any good for the CB radio arrangement that you were talking about before? You said that you had, is that in reverse? No.
yeah, I had a Uniden as well. I just had a 5 watt. I can't quite make out what that one is.
That's
but
500 milliwatt.
Yeah, it's not
That-
5 watts.
That's half a watt.
Half a
I
watt.
mean, that's probably okay for short range. I mean, for talking to a truckie, when you're behind them, that's probably perfectly fine.
the 5 watt that I have, that'd be good for a good 5K.
Oh, yeah, I understand. No, but if I'm pulling up behind somebody, I want a tailgate or a draft, should I say? That's the right way to say it.
Slipstream is the
I'll bring
actual terminology. Slipstreaming.
Yeah, Mike, that'll be fine. That'll be perfectly fine because you only need to talk to them as you're right nearby. You don't need any real long range
No.
or anything. Otherwise, it'd just be confusing.
Understand. Ripper.
All right. So has anyone got any other any questions or anything else or comments or news even?
What are your views on this green the only?
In what sense?
He's saying that Tesla's putting little snippets of code in when they test it on the Euro NCAP and NCAP and so on. Have you not seen this?
Oh no, I haven't. Sorry.
Saw it. Yeah, I saw it. I don't know.
So you mean
One
to
of
make
those
the
things,
test? You mean to make the test results better
Well,
or
he's-
something?
Yeah, he's not saying that they're cheating, but he is saying that they're cheating because they've put snippets of code in on the special cars that they've given them.
Nigel, I think they call that Volkswagen. Is that the correct?
No, it's
Volkswagen
not.
or-
It's Tesla.
That's a
and
code, I think they call it.
It's been written up in several places, like Electric and somewhere else. And it was covered on one YouTube channel as well, where they said it's bullshit because he said on the cars they gave to ANCAP, but they didn't give any cars to ANCAP because they used the Euro NCAP.
That's exactly right. And as a matter of fact, it only goes for 3 minutes, so we might as well actually watch the videos in question of the Model Y in particular, which goes like this.
Ooh, that's not nice.
Wow.
Do you like the central airbags? I've never seen them before.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the only car I think that's got them, hasn't it?
I think so.
That jump side just looks like.
The magnetic catches on the visors aren't very strong, are they?
I was thinking,
Go flying.
No, but the plastic ones for the 3 wasn't any better. Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Wow.
That was a nice pillow.
A nice middle.
Yeah.
you can only drive these if you don't have hands. Have you noticed?
But you don't. We've got full self-driving.
Even the kids don't have forearms. Look at that.
Wow. Oh.
That's a good one. Oh,
The interesting thing was when they're doing the testing out on the road and making little models walk across in front, how it's
that's scary.
and stopped.
Yeah, that's coming.
That is.
Dan O'Dowd
Look at
was
that.
completely wrong.
No, he should be
Yes.
charged.
That one was a rear impact test for the seat before.
Because the people.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
No dummies died in this test.
That's impressive.
Oh, geez.
whoa.
Now, this is a question I asked. It's relevant right now. If you have your car in creep and you pull up behind another car, will it roll into the back of the car in front of you, like if you parked at the lights, or does
Probably.
the car stop?
Can't hear anything. Is that just me?
Probably.
I couldn't find anything in your Apple Music library. You can ask me to play a radio station or ask for your music in a different app.
Right.
Seriously.
Radio.
So yeah, so if you've got your car in creep, it will creep into the car in front.
And bang into it.
Oh,
Yeah.
actually, Mike. So you're talking about the Model S that you're buying.
Yes.
So yes, no, it will just dutifully, gently and slowly
Just
creep
nudge
into the
front.
car in front of you. Yeah.
It's like a
Mike-
regular automatic.
Mike, why would you ask that question?
Well, I was driving it the other day, and I thought, oh, this is interesting. And I asked the guy, and he says, "Well, I've never done it, so I don't know." And I just
mean,
thought,
Whoever drives
Don't have it in creep.
I know Mike's got a 2015 S85, Mike, that you're
yep,
getting.
85D. MCU 1, hardware 1.
Yeah, so
Original.
it's the older version that doesn't have the advanced features
That's
that
old?
the new cars have. We'll just finish off this this video. And there you go.
There you go.
So Nigel, so Green the Only is claiming that there's extra code that's been, or snippets that are used during those tests.
Yes. I mean, a lot of people have said it's a load of rubbish, but it keeps getting reported. Obviously, Tesla's cheating and all that crap. But he didn't say they're cheating. He said, I think somebody needs to ask some questions.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Oh no, here we go. He's back. The other thing is that they're talking about some code for ultra high resolution radar.
Yes, that's right. Yep.
Who knows?
Yep. Yeah, I think Tesla's also got a patent on a higher resolution radar unit, something like that.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting because up to now, Elon Musk has been shunning radar. In fact, none of the Model Ys in Australia have radars, and there's new firmware versions for older cars that are starting to turn off the radars and just use vision.
Yeah, I've noticed that it's not got as many sudden slowdowns or anything with vision. I think it seems to be better ever since my 3, which has got the radar, but it's obviously had that turned off and it's now just on vision. It was a lot better. But I've got the write up here from hold on, let me make sure I share the right bit. So here you can see he's reported that there are snippets of special code for crash testing in its cars, raising red flags.
Look how many comments. It's like 300, negative one. But if you look at a positive story, it's like 50 comments or something, you know?
I mean, don't forget that Electrek is really just regurgitating Green Leone's tweet and turning the 80 words into, 500 words.
There's no vetting with those guys.
A few articles about it.
Yeah, I know, but Fred's normally negative anyway. With Tesla, you always, even if it's a positive story, you read it impartially, and there's always a negative little dig right at the end, sort of stuff, and you just go, I don't know why. He's like that.
Why has Green the Only gone and reported this, knowing
it's that thing of, is it a bot? That sort of, nothing's been verified. They haven't talked to the fellow. They've just got one little snippet. They've taken a thing and it's run around the world.
He tweeted something about it, and they've gone crazy with it.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I have a question.
Elon Musk. Go,
Sorry, I have a
Christian.
Like, from my understanding, is like that NCAP and others, like, they buy or take cars out of it, so they don't get them delivered from the car maker. I mean, that's what I read. Is like, so essentially, they cannot or shouldn't be prepared. Is this correct or is it not? Like, it's not like a special delivery. It's like basically anonymously kind of ordered and then like tested. Isn't that the case?
I don't think they're the same as Sandy Munro, who goes and buys them and to take them apart.
Yeah, but what Christian's saying is, does NCAP, do they just go and buy a car anonymously with the purpose of crashing it, so that by definition Tesla wouldn't have the opportunity to specially prepare it in some interesting way, perhaps?
But hasn't the manufacturer got to supply a certain number of cars? So they probably are supplied rather than
they have to supply them. If you imagine, I mean, they crash half a dozen cars. They got to go and buy them.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy half a dozen Mercedes S-Class just to go and crash them. I'm not.
The other thing too, perhaps, is maybe the cars have to be prepared in some sense, because, for instance, on the one where it hits the pole, that car, it's ridden on a sled. So as far as the car's concerned, it's not driving. So maybe they do have to have some interaction with the manufacturer to make sure the car is in like a driving mode during the test, so that everything deploys as it would if you were driving and lost control. So maybe, actually, Christian, maybe they do have to have some level of interaction with the manufacturer to make sure that the car will behave as it would on the road, even though it's not.
I mean, most of that stuff is like, I see what you mean, because it would have to sense that it's in motion, because it's like not using its wheels, or depending on how they're pushing it or whatever else. So I understand that. But obviously, with the diesel cheating scandal and other, like all kinds of manipulations, you would rather have a random sampling of cars that would prevent any of those things, and then ask to get reimbursed. I don't know how they do this financially. I mean, obviously there's a lot of money behind it, and of course safekeeping is a important thing to do. So I mean, all the passive features or something like this, I reckon there's not much they can do. The only thing that could potentially be the case if that was really the latter part where it had to recognize, you know, pedestrians, cyclists, whatever else, if this could run on a separate code stack or something like this. So there is this chance that it sort of has this training thing in there and it kind of recognizes this, which wouldn't be cool. But you know, like it could also be something that they tested internally for something like this, right? I mean, you would want to test it, and so maybe it's code from that, not that it's preparing for that actual test, but basically for them to know like how well it would stack up. I'm pretty sure they're testing it internally, how well it would do in these tests.
And the thing too is, the only way I could imagine code to I mean, put it this way, on the where that pole test where it basically hits a pole, I mean, all of the harm minimization is because of the structural integrity of the car.
That's right.
You can't really affect, I mean, you could very slightly change the timing of airbag deployment, but why wouldn't you just do that ordinarily? I mean, it's not like the Dieselgate where you literally are
Killed millions.
You're artificially intentionally changing the fuel profile just so that it makes the emissions look less, even though the performance of the motor would be crap, or it might shorten the life of the motor in that mode. That's really just cheating for emissions and things like that. But it's hard to cheat for it in a crash, because why wouldn't you always put your best foot forward in a crash and deploy the airbags in the best time anyway? So, and you can't software strengthen the car, you know.
No.
All you can do is affect the timing of certain things, and that's only just airbags, really. There's nothing else to do.
Yeah, this is one of the times Tesla really, they need a PR department, you know, spend a couple of mil, you know, because you're going to get people that will not buy these cars, and the car I'm in is literally the safest car. And so people are literally going to get hurt and die because they're afraid of getting into a Tesla. Like, I'm trying to tell my friends that, you know, your next car, get a Tesla, not because it's the way of Elon and it's the Colt. It's literally the safest car.
It's the safest car. That's right.
Yeah.
Next to the Nissan Leaf, that's one of the safest. Because they've
Well,
checked that.
You can't go very fast in the Leaf, so you'll
That's
be
right.
right.
It doesn't do more than 40 kilometres an hour. So there's no way of really injuring yourself. Although there was that one time there was a Band-Aid deployed when the guy ripped his nail. So on the
Well, when they changed the battery for the whippersnapper, so
that's it, exactly. It's a very dangerous.
Do you guys see that with the Renault Twiggy or something like this? The electric car that sold very well in Europe, but it turns out that if you have a side impact crash, it completely buckles. It got 0 stars in the European test. They completely ruined that, and they sold millions of those, or hundreds of thousands of those. Like, this very popular because very cheap. I see sometimes 1 or 2 right around in Perth as well. So side
that'll be the Zoe.
impact.
Yeah, it'd be the Zoe.
Sorry,
The
yes.
Renault,
The Zoe.
the Renault Twizy is not allowed to
come
be
here.
registered because it's a classified as
Zoe.
a quadricycle.
Sorry, the Zoe has quite some issues in the side impact. So you know, better to be in a Tesla.
Yeah, absolutely. Now this is this is reported as sort of, you know, some new development and bad news. And this is that, and there's a YouTube video associated with it. And this is a NFC relay attack on the Tesla Model Y. NFC standing for near field communication, basically your smart card. And it goes along a little bit like this. So this guy's basically leaving his car. He just locked it with his card. This guy's got the little Proxmark tool.
he bought on Alibaba.
Yep. And the guy reads it, and he's in the car, and he's stolen it.
Then you can
Yeah,
find-
but, I mean, I've got a wallet that
Saying don't.
you put your cards in, and no one can read stuff through.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the point is, this same attack actually works with credit cards. So with your tap and go cards, is very common. They have been trying to adjust the timing to tighten it up, but basically, all that happens is they do exactly the same thing, except in this case, the actual victim can be across the other side of the world through the internet, and on a bus, and people just use those little devices to put near the rear end of someone that's got a card, and it reads it, and then it just looks up which transaction to push through to whoever scammer it is at whatever shop. So it's really old news. And of course, the great thing is Tesla's got pin to drive. So if you're at all worried about it, you just put in a pin to drive, and you cannot steal the car.
You can just steal the money out of the ashtray. That's all you can get.
Actually, no, you can put a pin. Oh, yeah, ashtray. Sorry, yes, you're right, Jared. Yes, sorry, apologies.
The ashtray.
No, they had an ashtray.
No,
Oh, it's
no,
like-
the center console.
It's known as a Schneisenhausen in Germany, and you leave your money in the Schneisenhausen. Yeah, the Schneisenhausen.
So-
I've got a quick thing about scams today. I got a phone call from Amazon, well-known company, Amazon, very reliable, and they were telling me they're just updating some stuff on my credit card with my account, which was, perfectly understandable because I don't have an account with them, so they was updating my account. After I hanged up, I decided to reply back to a text and to acknowledge in many ways how I felt that they were working towards the benefit of my my stability. And I chose a few chosen words. And then I got a phone call back on the same number saying, who is this and where are you from and why are you telling me to go on anyway? And I was amazed that these people didn't even know. They seem to be hacking people's phone numbers now and and using that as a way to think. Because I reported it to Telstra and they said, yeah, this is what they're doing. So
Spoofing.
no point. Spoofing. Yeah, that's another word, Alex.
The numbers
you
are
go.
just randomly generated. They don't relate to anything.
No, and that was I was just amazed by it, So I thought I know there's a lot of mature gentlemen like Nigel, so I just thought I'd make a point of that.
You thought you were special, Jared, but you were just randomly generated.
I knew that I was special.
Oh, no, you got a text from Amazon to say that
the number that they used that came up in your ID is randomly generated. Like, for instance, I got a spate of numbers that were coming to me. They rang me like every 5 minutes because I pissed one of them off. But anyway, the numbers that they were using to dial from apparently was the next number, that sequential number in mobile numbers. So they just kept, the next 3 phone calls that I had. Eventually, I just stopped answering because I knew it was them. But it was just, the numbers were just sequential.
Yeah, I got a call today saying Amazon were going to take $99 from my account. And bullshit. Now, Sarich just posted that it's spoofing can be done in minutes. He does it for his clients and it's legal.
Wow.
And you can purchase mobile numbers.
Yeah, because you do that for PABXs in a business so that you may be ringing out of different extensions, but it all gets a unified number. And that's the problem. It's just far too. It's part of the system that allows us to do it with the numbering system, caller ID system. So
I know that Richard Chapman was heavily involved in spoofing. I think he's got another word for it. It's called squash frogs or something. I'm not quite sure the technical term, but he was doing.
I think it's a French phrase.
A French phrase, right?
I almost had a squash cane toad. I don't know if that counts. Scared the absolute bejesus out of me.
Good man.
Now, speaking of remote things, one thing that was pretty cool was I was at this place, which is, I think that's near Port Hedland, and I used this Starlink dish just stuck up against the roof of the car just for some sponge. and basically managed with that setup to get 105 megabits per second
Wow.
in the middle of nowhere with very little outages and you know, great performance. And
Not bad
basically-
thing is not supposed to work up that way.
And it's not supposed to work up that way because here's the updated map. And actually it's improved. So a couple of weeks ago, this section of the Northern Territory wasn't covered. So they actually are creeping northwards. But Dampier is about here. Oh, sorry, yeah, about there. So it's well outside of the coverage area. And the nearest base station is ground station, actually Caterpie, which is just about here. So the satellite was working from this ground station all the way up to there. But actually, I've also got screenshots where it was working at Catherine, which is up here, well away from the standard coverage area. So go Starlink. It's just an awesome technology.
Great product. So Harold, did it take many days for you to acclimatise back into civilization when you got back to Perth? Like, you know, because I guess Pete right now is still suffering from ABC radio and will be for the next couple of days. Yourself, did you snap out of that pretty quickly, or did you find you were making honey and jam and knitting stuff while you listening to the ABC, or you on mute?
Oh, he just doesn't have an answer.
I must admit, it was rather a luxury to wake up after the sun on Sunday morning, because every other day I'd woken up before the sun and obviously gone to bed after the sunset. So yeah, it was a real treat on Sunday morning to basically sleep in. It was awesome. I do have some developments as far as you did mention, very kindly mentioned the ABC there, Jared.
Well, we can see the effects that's had on Pete right now. He's still comatized by the ABC, and that's going to obviously go for a couple more days. And then, you know, then it'll slowly wear off once he listens to a bit more commercial radio. And then he'll be alert more, I guess.
Yeah, what I actually did was I was very proud of this, and I was really looking forward to it. It was the main highlight of my around Australia trip, was that I managed to actually collect every radio station as I was going along. So I first started with ABC Radio Perth, then I went to ABC Radio Adelaide as I went into the South Australia, and then into Victoria it was ABC Radio Melbourne, and then I went into ABC Radio Sydney and Brisbane, and then Darwin, and then back to Perth. So yeah, thanks for mentioning that, Jared. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I think it's important to, you know, the chutney that you're going to be making in the next couple of weeks is going to be amazing, and the knitting that you're going to be doing. Very good stuff.
While you mentioned it, Harold, I was sitting in this new car that I'm hoping to get, and I was trying to tune into the local ABC Classic FM station, and I was trying to work out
Hardcore.
how to. Sorry, hardcore. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hardcore. Yep.
I was trying to work out how to, short of actually knowing the frequency that I should be tuning into, can you scan? I don't know if this is the right forum, you know, MCU one, hardware one. Can you actually scan for stations? You know, it seems to me that you can only go through the ones that you preset or the ones that you dial in. Does anyone know?
No, I think there is a scan. You'll have to look closely at the menu. This is for the actual AM radio.
AM and FM. You know, I was just trying to work out how I could go.
No. I'm pretty sure there is a scan method. You just have to look in the menu. You can also get it on streaming, so you can get it through the internet, basically.
Okay.
And that's what this is. This is the digital radio. Sorry, it's not digital radio. It's streaming. So that's through TuneIn. Yeah, through TuneIn.
On my 3 and the Y, wherever I am, I go into radio to choose a selection of stations, and it keeps changing depending upon what it detects. If I go down to Albany, it picks up an Albany station. I haven't had to tune it. I just go, Oh, that's an Albany station.
And it just presents it to you effectively.
It just presents them to me, yeah.
Oh, because I know there was a magnifying glass. I didn't have time to find out what was under the magnifying glass on the radio screen, but I thought maybe that was the search.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know what your car would be like. That's just on my 3 and the Y.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm old school.
Yeah, but you might have to go. You might have to resort to streaming, possibly, which is still very high quality. Well, fairly high quality.
When you have internet access.
I've got a
Yes.
question for Joe. Is Joe there? Joe, are you there? Joe, come in, Joe.
Joe's blacked out.
Put down that sandwich, Joe, and come on the. I've got a question for you, Joe. She's coming, maybe. I don't know.
Well,
Here she is.
Such enthusiasm.
Busy.
I totally agree with you, Joe.
Joe, I just
Make
got
it a good question, Jared.
no, I don't want a question from Jared, 'cause I know he's gonna say.
Oh, that's just horrible, Joe.
I've got one for you then, Joe. How do you
Okay,
like your new Model Y?
I love it. I do like it lots, thank you. It's not so new though, because it feels like in a week it's been in lots of storms, so it's got very dirty, and then it had millions of people sitting in it on Sunday. So I feel like it's not kind of my new car anymore.
I'd still
wasn't-
Thanks for helping out Sunday.
I wasn't planning on that many people sitting in my new car. But never
I
mind.
blame Seb for that.
Yeah, I know, it's his fault. He kept inviting them all in.
Yeah, it was the bell of the ball that the Model
Yeah, I
Y,
know, because
so-
Harold had his nicely closed up, so no one could go in. So we were the only Model Y to go in.
That's because mine was full of crap, Joe, because I only just arrived like 12 hours earlier. So
was
mine,
a,
mine still was full of stuff.
There was a health warning with Harold's. It wasn't quite ready for the exposure. Had to keep a hazard warning it straight up and masked off.
Yeah, that was a
My
good day.
question for you, Joe, is I've got a little chip, a little
I knew
stone
it.
chip in
I'm
my
not saying
car.
anything.
I was just wondering if you could recommend a good place to go and get like a bit of panel and paint done.
Do you know why I've been silent this whole time? I knew you were going to come and ask me this.
No, never. How could you possibly imagine that I was going to do that? Richard
Yes, I
Chapman.
can recommend
Recommend?
a place near the delivery centre where we dropped off our 3 to get a few stone chips sorted out. Yes, it's
Okay.
called. You know what it's called.
It's called
Bowra Panel and
Bauer Panel and Paint.
right. Barra panel paint. Thank you, Joe.
So you go there, Jared.
It's good.
Good
No, thanks so
appointment.
much for Sunday, and you know the
That's
rest
all
of the team that were there. Alex as well. Alex spent a lot of time talking to lots of young ladies.
I did. It was
A
good.
lot
Good
of
fun.
phone numbers, and he showed him easy access mode in the car. He had a great time, and Harold
The
came
light
there
show.
and the light
Yeah.
show, and also Pete Harris, who didn't do his roses on his seat. He was out there up and going. He was good. So thanks, Pete Harris, and Harold for showing up as well. After probably-
and unfortunately, Peter Petrosky was an apology because he was still
Yeah.
fighting around somewhere on the
Another
Nullarbor.
side.
he's meditating at the moment, people. I mean, it looks like he's sleeping, but he's actually meditating,
Aw.
trying to work out the next. I mean, yeah, he's so
He's
cute.
just a bit tired.
Hey,
He's,
Pete,
you know,
wake up, Pete. That's my job.
No, that's it's taken over Richard Cooper's job.
I'm going to change the subject. I'm
Go,
selling,
Richard.
I'm selling my performance next year when I get my Y. So I'm stripping some bits off it. So I pulled the tow bar off yesterday, and I had it up for sale on Tesla Australia bits or whatever. Some guy in Tassie was interested, but he hasn't got back to me. I'll just share my screen and show it to you. How do we do this? How do we do this? Hang on.
It's only had one owner, but it's had 4 billion modifications to it. The only original thing with the car is the left-hand tyre. That's the only one that
It's
hasn't
your
been
motor
touched.
badge. It's your motor. So anyway, that's for sale. $1,000 for the whole thing.
Oh,
yeah, give us a look on that.
how much
Can you-
fitted?
$1,000. Told you that.
No, I said how much fitted.
I said that. $1,000.
Oh, you're gonna
He's
fit
going to
it.
fit it for free.
Only took me an hour to get it off.
Take 10 minutes.
Yeah, but
to
that's with an oxy torch. What if you did it gently?
Oh, you want it done properly? I've got no idea.
That's right. So can you screen share? Can you show us what it looks like?
I thought I did.
No, you haven't yet.
Hang on.
If we're
Is it up
selling
there now?
stuff,
Hang on.
No,
No, not yet. No,
Yeah,
keep
there's
going. You go
screen.
screen share. You got to go share
Oh.
screen, and you got to pick. There you go. Now you're starting.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
How do I get rid of that thing?
Is that a barbecue on the back of your bike there?
It's like a bike rack or something.
Looks like a
That's a
barbecue.
dual bike rack. I put both my e-bikes on the back of that.
Oh, cool.
So it's all in if everybody wants it. It's a bloody bargain.
yeah, absolutely. So what are you going to buy in its place?
Oh, a
model-
Performance Y.
Oh,
nice.
lovely.
Yeah.
Oh, so you mentioned you just ordered one, didn't you?
I just ordered it. Yeah. I'll get off.
Actually, incidentally,
Delivery Richard, delivery date?
February to May sometime. I don't know.
Mm.
Stop sharing. There we go.
Yeah.
It's normal.
yeah, actually, the delivery times have been blowing out. The performance-wise now gone from gone,
Yeah, because I looked today.
May to
What was
June.
it?
I think
Yeah.
it says May to June or
Oh,
April
really?
to
It's
June.
gone up in the last
yeah.
couple of days. Oh,
Yeah.
I don't care. 1,309 days was the last one, so they're not going to beat that.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, big thank you to Seb, who showed me how to do easy access in my car, and also Paul, of course, he taught me.
I couldn't believe you didn't have
Yeah.
that.
I had no
Didn't know
idea of
about
easy
it.
access. Didn't know about it.
Well, that's why we're here.
I blame Harold because he hasn't updated his graphs for quite a while. They're the same old graphs. We need to get some new graphs, Harold, so I can learn about easy access. I know it's a good product because, like I said, Alex was showing a lot of young girls the easy access on his car, which was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a great
But
job.
Jared, not to correct or anything, but it's called easy entry.
Oh, okay, sorry. I thought it was because I knew
the
that.
joke works even better that way.
Yeah, because I thought it was just easy. I didn't know it was easy.
But then the problem is, Jared, if there's only easy entry, how do you get out? Well, what do you do then? You're stuck. So just to update the Model Y, the standard order page is obviously February to May, but the performance is now April to June. So it's basically saying it's going to be Q2 next year. So that's a fair old wait.
Is that including you, Harold?
No.
He'll get his,
I expect mine early in the next year. It'll probably get, if it's like most of the the previous batch of Model Ys, they'll be built in the last couple of days of December, and then they'll go on the ship and be delivered, February.
You drop those white goods off to the boys down the Tesla, did you? The washing machine, the dishwasher, and the microwave. We looked after a bit, so we can.
Hey, Harold, what colour are you getting, mate?
I'm personally,
He's coughing.
excuse me, I'm just personally getting Poverty Pearl White with a white interior, and my wife's getting the blue with the white interior.
Oh, excellent. That's what
So-
I'm getting. Same as my old one.
And what are you doing with the one you just drove around Australia? Once you get the smell and the body out.
I thought I'd hang it on the wall, with the map on it, and sort of Top Gear style, and
If you do that, you can get rid of those BYD batteries and put your Tesla battery on the wall.
yes, yes, I could. That'd be a good use of the car, actually. Yeah, exactly. No, I'll sell it to a company, and I don't have it with me. It's Red Dog Rentals in Karratha. So that's Red Dog Rentals in Karratha. They are renting or leasing out Teslas of all sorts, so Model 3s and Ys, to the mining companies such as Rio Tinto and others.
They can't be used in the bush.
Well, they're basically using them to replace all the Prados, because all of those Prados running around Karratha and Dampier and surrounds are all single occupancy cars, literally just running around the town. So the mining companies are well and truly on board, because obviously with the federal government having its 43% greenhouse gas reduction by the end of this decade, the mining companies on board, and they can't get enough. And this company is getting 2 Model Ys on Friday.
Wow.
So I really hoped that it was going to be last Friday, because then I would have seen them coming up from Perth as I was going down to Perth, and that would have been awesome to take a photo of it on the car carrier. But yeah, so I'll probably sell that car to that company because they're willing to pay full price basically for secondhand cars because they need them.
Do they want it? Are they buying other stuff, or is it just Teslas?
Mainly Teslas. I think they might have been looking at a Kona, and he's also looking at a Rivian, but of course that Rivian would have to be grey imported and converted in Australia. But
Who's the agent for Rivian in Australia?
no one, there is no agent, so it's got to be grey imported basically. So in other words, purchased in America and stuck on a ship. And the same with the F-150 Lightning. And again, Ford currently have zero interest in bringing them out to right-hand drive markets. But yeah, so this company, like I said, they're hungry for cars and they just can't get them fast enough. So if anyone's thinking of selling, your secondhand three or whatever, well, I don't know about the iMeave. Yeah, look up Red Dog Rentals because you may get an easy sale as a possibility. Or just car sales or whatever, just on Facebook, because everyone wants, awesome secondhand Teslas.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, well, I've got mine for sale if anybody's interested.
Sorry, say again, Nigel?
I've got mine for sale if anybody's interested.
Does it come with that shirt, Nigel?
If you like, Jared, specifically for you, yes.
I've done the washing when the wife's been away, that shirt. And I haven't let the colours run. Because it was green before, wasn't it? Before it was...
Yes, it was a very green colour before, yes.
And now it's gone to the tiger.
I have a question.
Go, Joe.
About shirts.
Go.
I was finally washing the car today because it's so filthy. The number plate on the front. So when we were in the delivery centre, they were preparing the ones for the next lot and they were putting the number plates on. And so before they put the number plates on, there was this funny little plate that was just a blank plate thing. Well, as everyone else who's got that, like maybe Paul Conject's actually sat in the car, is the number plate just stuck on top of that number plate that was there? Or is it just me? Because in the front, on the back, it's fine. It's just a normal number plate. But on the front, they've literally stuck the number plate on top of the plate that the car came with.
Mine was two proper number plates with two screws holding it on the front.
And nothing underneath.
And I've taken them off because I put on personalised plates, and there was nothing underneath, just a bit of black shaped.
I want to see Paul's.
Yeah, I'm just getting a tour.
If you've just joined us, it's happening live here.
Oh, actually, so I'll just spotlight you, Paul, so we can see you better.
Good to see you.
While I'm mucking around. Let's see what.
We see your ceiling.
Oh, how the hell is this? Can you see? Hang on.
You could need to look at it side on, and you'll
see your
that
hand.
there's the other plate underneath.
Action-packed television.
Yeah, really good television. Where's the light?
It's nearly as good.
Yeah, now face downwards.
There we go.
Have a look
Yes,
down.
it's mounted
Is there
on
a
a.
plate behind your plate.
Yes, there is.
Oh yeah, there you go. It's the mounting plate.
Go a little bit closer to the car, Paul, if you can.
Go closer.
You know how close I am to the camera.
Yeah, like that. That's it.
Camera.
No, try and off the camera. Even turn it, rotate it so that you can. You can see that plate.
Stuck on.
There you go.
Yeah, it is stuck on.
Yeah,
There you
it seems a bit weird. I didn't know if it was just me, if they were in a
So
rush.
it's a double-sided tape or something.
Thanks, Paul, for showing your mounting.
That's okay.
That's similar to my Model X.
Normal.
The number plates on my Model X were actually just double-sided taped on, and that double-sided tape lasted for about 5.5 years before it came off.
Good tape.
I mean, the whole number plate didn't come off, but it came loose.
Cool.
So, but Nigel, you said that yours was screwed on. So, but I think what Joe might be meaning is you've got a small sort of plate.
Small plate. It had
that the
nothing
bigger
on it.
backing plate is just attached to that.
No, mine was screwed, 2 screws at the top. It's got the black clip-on surround, and I took that off, and it was just the bumper and a bit of black plastic behind it. There wasn't a different number plate or anything.
So
stuck
it's
to
like
it.
they're taking some of them off, because when we saw all the cars that didn't have their number plates on yet, just had this little rectangular black plate thing on the front. And I thought they were taking them off and putting the number plates on, but with us, they just stuck the number plate over the top of it. But with Nigel, they took them off. It seems a bit inconsistent.
Oh, no, I'm special, you see, Joe.
Yeah,
Nigel-
and then you would take yours off anyway.
Nigel, did you get the bow on your car when you picked it up? I saw a photo with the red
No,
bow.
there were no cars with bows on that day that I was there on Monday. I was quite
Why did I
upset.
see a
I
photo?
wanted a nice pink bow.
No, they had a big red bow on their car.
They went,
Yeah,
here's
they
your
bought
keys,
it,
get
they
the
bought it
out.
with them. I saw that. Yeah, they bought the bow themselves and put it on the car for the photo.
Oh,
It was a
wow.
family, wasn't it?
That's a bit interesting, just quietly.
I saw balloons and stuff.
Yeah, balloons were there the first day or the second and third day, but by the time we got there, the balloons were going down. I saw them, but they were in the office because they were helium balloons and they'd kind of sunk a bit and they weren't really good for display, but they were still there.
There you go.
So they're a little bit sad.
They were.
Oh, Pete and I never got to see that. Go, Barry.
Yeah, relating to something that Pete said earlier about when he was slipstreaming the truck and the driver invited him to put his main beam headlights on. With this latest software release, how on earth do you turn main beam headlights on?
So this is how you do it.
Have your hands on. Oh,
You go tap
I
tap
can
push.
demonstrate. Yeah.
So you go
So you double tap
on your
down and flick
left
forward.
hand, on your right hand indicator, on the gear lever, you do a double tap to do autopilot, and then on the left hand stalk you got to push erect.
I want to be able to manually turn on the main beam headlights.
Yeah, you can.
Yes, you can. You can pull them forwards. You can pull the stalk towards you, the left hand stalk towards you, and that overrides and goes into high beam. But unfortunately, if you're on
It only
autopilot,
flashes it though.
yes, that's right. Yes, but that's
So
right.
I want to
but-
actually turn it on. I want to be able to turn on.
Yes,
the
you
main
can't,
beam
Barry.
headlight.
You can't. So when you are in autopilot, Tesla Vision at the moment insists on auto high beam, not
just came in with this
manual
latest
high
software,
beam.
yeah.
So you have to go to auto high beam, and then of course it's up to the whim of auto high beam to decide in its good time when to put the high beams on. But what I did when I was driving was, when it was still thinking about putting the high beams back on, I would just pull the stalk towards me and manually override it. And then after a few seconds, I would release it. And then by then, the autopilot computer had then decided that it was a good time to put high beams on, and then it would sort of stay on. And then what I noticed is your low beam lens arrangement then actually faces upwards, probably about 5 degrees. So, and I think the Model 3s are the same. So your high beam isn't just the addition of high beams or substitution of high beams. Your low beams actually face upwards more, and then they add the high beam LEDs to augment it. But you've got to do this in autopilot. You've got to do this crazy tap, tap, push on the stalks to suppress it, because there were times when I was blinding truck. It was really embarrassing because
Yeah, I know, that's
sometimes it
right.
would come on straight away, high beam, and you'd have to suppress it as soon as you could.
Yeah, that's what I found as soon as that software update came in.
Yep.
As soon as I drove at night, it putting the headlights straight on into oncoming traffic. And I thought, what on earth is going on here?
And it does
I
it in
had to
suburban
take
streets
trouble.
too. It's terrible.
Yeah, it does.
It's
Yeah. Okay.
Now, I did read one comment from somebody, and that was that the legalities of use of high beam in Australia, it may be contravening some of the law. I don't know what the law is on high beam, and it
I
may
think it's
be-
not. It's not permitted in built-up areas. I'm pretty confident that that's the case.
well, then it comes on in built-up areas.
Yes, it
around,
does.
around
Yes,
there.
it does.
That may be illegal. And
Yes.
so, Elon Musk, when you're watching this tomorrow, can you please do something about the legality of driving in Australia with your auto high beam?
Yes, please.
Going to get straight on to that.
And can you add to that, one thing I noticed that Tesla Vision would do is it would freak out at mirages because it would think that it could be a truck or a something, and it would do some phantom braking when you see a mirage in the, you know, the heat mirage on the road.
We don't get too many mirages around here in Perth.
Actually,
especially at this time of year in winter.
Actually, speaking of
I
mirages,
was gonna say, isn't it supposed to be spring? It was fucking cold and
I've got a new
down
feature
at
here.
Trig today.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, but where I was, Paul, it was like 38 degrees in the territory, so there were mirages.
Yeah.
Oh,
speaking of
and it was -2 in the Nullarbor, by the way, so it was the whole gamut of -2 up to 38.
Alex.
Oh,
I just wanna-
Alex has got his hand
I've
up.
got a,
I've got a question for you, Alex. First off,
Yeah,
have
go
they
for it.
found the person that did that haircut to you, or are you still looking for him? Is that a sad story? Do you want a 1-800 number to ring, Alex? Because we can get you help on that one, mate.
There's nothing wrong with Alex's haircut, Jared. Seriously.
Absolutely not. If you want to use,
We've just had Are You OK Day.
that's right. And
Yeah.
it's now.
Do you need a
Now,
hug?
if you want to use a shopper docket to get the haircut, that's fine. You can use those shopper dockets. That's what they're there for. But obviously, there's a result with that shopper docket. Eh?
Yeah. Anyway, I've got a new feature here. I've just jumped in the car, and I've worked out. Let's get rid of that for 2 seconds. I've worked out if you touch on. Wait, that's a bit. There we go. It's over here. If you touch on this, it brings up down the bottom the light settings.
Yeah.
Ah, nice.
I did not know. I did not know that.
Didn't you?
I knew
Didn't
that.
you know that? Oh, okay. Sorry.
Alex, I knew that, and that's pretty.
That's a good scoop, Alex. I didn't know that.
Well, it's like with the blinker as well. You can tap
Alex,
that to bring
Alex,
your
do
blind
it with
spot
your
camera
store.
up.
Pull your high beam on and see what happens.
Yeah, it comes up down the bottom too. So
Oh wow, that's cool, man.
There you go.
there you go.
Yeah.
Alex, what
Nice.
mode is that? That mode that you got it set to? This says stalker. What does that mean? Is that some sort of special mode that you set there, Alex?
No.
Oh, okay. Just check.
That definitely will not be on there.
Yeah, that's a good scoop, Alex.
So there you go.
Well done.
Cool. Nice work.
Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
you can actually,
You know when you've got your. Oh, sorry. No.
yeah, so you can actually do that. So when you got that software update, we tried it straight away, turned it off, but when you re-engage autopilot, it re-engages. So it defeats the purpose of using that feature there.
Yeah, that's right. You have to fight autopilot every time you engage autopilot. It it doesn't just do auto high beams. It also does auto wipers, which is a real pain because I use Rain-X and swear by it. And Rain-X is the best thing since sliced bread. And you just literally don't need wipers. So my Model X has done 220,000 Ks. It's 5.5 years old, and it's got the original wipers because I never use them. But autopilot now, or Tesla Vision, insists on auto wipers, and that can be a real pain.
I like Rain-X as well, Harold.
Sorry?
I've started using Rain-X as well. I think
It's awesome. It's the best thing. I mean, you do have to sort of maintain it, and you sort of get like dust on your windscreen because you don't have the wipers sort of wiping everything off, and you get little droplets. But yeah, it's really good. It is really good.
The hose on everything.
But Tesla Vision unfortunately mandates auto high beams and auto wipers at the moment. So not much you can do about it. But apart from that, it's really good. I mean, Pete and I spent the vast majority of the whole time in our cars on autopilot, and the only time we didn't was when there might be like a construction sign, roadwork sign that tells you slow speed limit, and then they might not have the 110 sign afterwards. So then you're kind of doomed to be doing 40 on autopilot, or you've got to drive manually. You know, you like say on tack, but steering manually. But that would only be for a couple of 100 kilometres out of the 13,000.
Terrible though, having to steer it yourself. When I picked up my Y on Monday, the blooming autopilot cameras had to calibrate themselves. So
Yeah.
I know.
I was almost home with them.
Got mostly
on my
home.
own.
Yeah.
No.
Had to
It was
drive.
terrible.
I know.
I'm-
How are you supposed
I
to drive
know.
safely without autopilot?
I'm
Exactly.
struggling with I'm struggling
Harold
with
Murphy said
changing
that.
lanes.
Media pics.
So say
Yeah.
again, Joe. Sorry, I didn't hear that. Say again.
Yep.
Right. I'm struggling with changing lanes because we've got the full self-drive on the 3 and we haven't yet bought the 5K one, but I'm
Yep.
tempted to because I can't change lanes. I don't have the confidence that I used to just put the indicator on and let the car do it. And now I've got to actually pull out myself, and on a busy freeway, I hate doing it. And
Yeah.
I'm learning to drive again.
Yeah,
Couldn't
I
agree
bought the
more.
enhanced
It makes you
autopilot
want to
on my
buy
Y.
that. You what, sorry, Nigel?
I bought the enhanced
You've bought
autopilot
it.
for my Y.
I will be
Yeah, and
very
it-
soon.
and it changes lanes for me, so I can
Yeah.
sleep. I just put it back to easy entry, and the seat goes right back, and I'm having a snooze.
Yeah.
It's lovely.
Yeah, I'm going to probably have to buy that one because I've got so used to it with the full self-drive, and it's pretty much the same as what we've got in the full self-drive, isn't it?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. The only
because-
thing you miss out is automatic stopping at stop signs and traffic lights if there's no one in front of you,
and roundabouts.
and roundabouts.
Uh,
And also, Joe, if you've got version 2022.24,
it did just update today, so I guess yeah.
which updated, when you use your indicator and you've got kind of that blind spot camera, I guess you call it, where it does, it shows, you can show the side view of your car
Mm.
in the direction that you're indicating. You can now, before it used to be in the lower
move the camera,
right-hand corner, you
yeah.
can move it around, to
Yeah,
a
I
spot.
noticed that. Yes, that's good.
Yeah, so it doesn't get in the way, so your arm or hand doesn't get in the way from the steering
Yeah.
wheel.
Yeah, I know. I've got to look at that camera and I've got to look in my mirrors. But what I didn't do was look in my blind spot, and I pulled out and Seb's like, no, not now. And I literally almost pulled out into a car because it wasn't in any of the mirrors or the camera or anything. So it was literally right there.
So
yeah.
you got to drive old school, Joe.
I know, or pay 5K.
You need a
Uh,
gear lever next.
and a clutch.
And some buttons.
Yeah.
And the buttons and that
Yeah.
sheepskin cover of your for your
And
seat
the
belt.
fluffy dice. Yep, and the fluffy dice.
Fluffy dice.
But that's a very
Hey,
good point.
Track.
I mean, I think a lot of people are going to give Tesla at least $5,000 for enhanced autopilot. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or especially if they're coming from another car that did have it.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Has anyone else got any other questions, comments? I think I've done all the things I can think of. We'll have to finish the show at about 10:30 tonight.
Ooh,
because
the one time I can stay up.
Oh, yeah, sorry,
It's
Paul.
okay.
I've got to do a show with the Talking Tesla guys straight after. So
They used your
I've
name.
got
on
to
it.
I've got to bail, and I've got to turn Zoom off because I can't have this Zoom running as well as another one at the same time. But anyway,
That's because you're a man. If you're a woman, you can multitask.
Exactly, Harold. You could.
no, I've got a male computer as well, and it can't multitask. Zoom is clearly a man because
Excuse
you
me,
can't
Harold,
do two Zooms
I-
at the same time.
I multitask. I can both listen and ignore my wife at the same time.
So can I.
Terrible, Nigel. I
I'm
love
sure
it.
you do resemble that remark, Nigel.
Very talented man.
I've got a question. I was going to ask Pete, but he appears to be asleep. So
No, he's not asleep.
for the
He's
last
just resting.
hour.
No.
He's ahead of the
No,
curve.
he's checking his
just
eyelids for
meditating.
holes.
He
I
said
rubbed him,
he
but
said to
obviously
easy
he's
entry.
asleep.
Hey, look, Pete's on autopilot, and and he'll answer any second now. Hang on a sec. Let's just try this.
When he's going.
What's your
Don't
question,
ring him.
What's your
Let him
question,
sleep.
Mike? Fire away.
Okay,
Go
you
on.
mentioned
Yeah,
something
go.
today, which is relevant for me because I don't know if you guys have picked up yet. I'm buying a car in Victoria, and I'm flying over on Sunday night to go and get This is from Perth, and I'm going to get it and drive it home. So I've been talking to Harold and Pete for the last couple of days, and they've given me cables and advice. And there's a few other people like Rob, who has done the trip recently, and he's been very helpful as well. So I've been asking lots of questions of these guys. And one thing that Pete said today, he said that he was in his overnight stops, he stopped in caravan parks, and I was wondering what type of power points, what power he found in caravan parks. Is it a 15 amp 3-pin big pin, or is it was it 3-phase, or is it 20 amp? Or
no, caravan. All the caravan parks have 15 amp outlets, so that's the standard 10 amp, 3-pin 10 amp we're all used to, but it just has it's not thicker, but it's a taller earth pin. So, yeah. So,
How many?
I'm not sure if your UMC has. I mean, the thing is, Mike. If we look at PlugShare and we just look at Tesla, obviously superchargers. You're not going to have those. Destination chargers. The Type 2, there won't be any, and 3-phase.
Yeah.
All of the ones, so you'll get all the way to Claire, which is this orange pin here.
Yeah.
And then, for instance, you can go to Port Augusta and at the Majestic Oasis Apartments, which are they're really awesome, nice people. That's Pete charging there, or is that me? I can't remember. And it's actually a gated estate, like it's got a gate, but you just go to reception and they'll let you charge for free.
Great.
They're really, really nice people
Are you
there.
writing this down, Mike?
Yep, kind of.
But and then you've got Kimber.
At Majestic, you say? Yeah.
At the Majestic, yes. The Majestic Oasis.
And did you stay there? I mean,
no. This I just drove through. No, I just went through.
To Ash, Harold stays in far more classy places than that.
I actually overnighted in Adelaide that day, and then Kimber, you've got the this is a 32 amp 3-phase.
Yeah.
So that's my car there, and actually it was really nice of them. Originally it was a 32 amp outlet, but a 20 amp circuit breaker. And they very kindly upgraded it to a 32 amp breaker. But yeah, so basically you can plug your UMC or that cons that I've lent you, or that the club's lent you. In this is the tire place.
That's what I thought it was. I'm familiar with that place.
In Kimber, and they're really nice people. And then you've got Puchera Hotel, and they've got. It's a bit hard to see, but just on this wall, they've got a 32 amp 3-phase outlet.
You thought I might need that 3-phase extension.
You might need an extension for that, or maybe not, depending on how you park. You could park. That's actually Pete's car. I think mine's that one. Yes, there you can see there's a better shot of the actual. You can see the 32 amp 3-phase there. You've then got, after that, you've got Sejuna, and Sejuna is there's a motel that's got the Sejuna East-West Motel, and that's actually got a destination charger. So there's an image of it right there.
Right.
So that just plugs straight in.
Can I stay at the hotel or something?
Yes, you can, of course. If you pay
overnight?
them, of course. If you pay the money, they'll let you stay, and then you can charge for
Stay there
free.
and charge all night?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Penong Caravan Park, depending on what your timing is, that Pete stayed there, and so have I. So that's another place. That's where I actually stayed overnight. That's a lovely
Penong
place.
Caravan Park, is it?
Penong Caravan Park.
Yep.
Then you've got, in fact, I actually charged at Penong back in 28. Well, that's wrong. That's not 2020.
Was that your car?
That's better. That's my Model X in 2018.
Fabulous colour.
Stolen plates. Stolen.
Yeah, stolen plates. Yeah, they've been anonymised. And then you go over to, after Penong, you've got Nullarbor Roadhouse.
Yes.
And you can obviously stay there as well if that comes up. And that
Beautiful.
would be Pete staying there on the 32 amps. And then that's me going the other opposite direction. And again, you can stay there. although I didn't.
Mhm.
Um,
I mean, I'm planning to stay in the car, but I mean, being in S, it's easy. So,
yes.
but,
Yep.
But my main thing is finding places that are, happy for me to stay overnight and charge if that's what I'm going to do.
They all are universally happy for you to charge overnight. Absolutely. The one place, if you go to Border Village, in fact, I mean, you can actually make it from Nullarbor Roadhouse to Mundrabilla, but
Yeah.
Border Village is just, the access is just a little bit awkward because there's a shed and the you need the extension cable because the PowerPoint or the 32 amp outlet is at the back of the shed, so you got to go through the door to get to it. So I did this at night time, which is a bit stressful because the manager was already in bed and I had to ask that he get woken up or whatever. So that was a bit more awkward. But you won't necessarily need to charge at Border Village. Don't bother with Eucla. Mundrabilla is easy. Again, that's probably my car there. Just plugged in straight there, and you can obviously stay there as well. And then cruising along, you've got Majura Oasis. Rob noted that I think they shut at 5 p.m. So that's for charging. So otherwise you have to charge on 15 amps. But you can just charge on this Delta charger here and get 22 kilowatts, which is good.
That's Majura, is it?
Majura Oasis, yep. And then moving through, you've got Cocklebiddy. If you want to charge or charge and or stay there. This is where Pete had to backtrack to get a charge. And there's a 32 amp outlet just on the wall. And by the way, these pin drops are accurate. So I'm a bit of a pin Nazi. So if you look at the satellite view, you'll see that it's right on the side of that building.
Yeah.
Because I always adjust the pins so that they're deadly accurate, because there's nothing worse, there's nothing more stressful than not knowing exactly where to charge.
Right.
And the same as Majura, it's right near the shell right there. And for instance, Mundrabilla, I've made that pin drop deadly accurate. It's on the side of that hotel block, basically right there. So then there's not that many places to go to after that. You've then just got Kaiguna, which may or may not be available.
Yeah,
depending on whether it's had its diesel.
I'm hoping to leapfrog that.
Yes, you can leapfrog from Majura Pass.
Yep.
All the way to Belladonna, and Belladonna Hotel. They've got the Delta there, which you can see. This is probably Pete, and that's the Delta just under here.
Okay,
that
just
works
for me,
well.
Delta charger is different how from a regular wall?
That's a you could call that a slow DC charger. So this one you'll need your CCS adapter to use.
Yep.
But I do recommend, if you're charging overnight, to actually watch it, because when I plugged in, it actually turned off about half an hour later. So then I basically unplugged it. You can see at Belladonna further along when I was there in 2018. The plug is just there. I think there's a better photo of it. There isn't really an image of it.
There's something else you probably want to remember. Just three letters, Mike, that might come in handy. TNT, which do a car carrier service. Will take your car from that side of the country to the other. Just keep that in mind while you're driving along.
TNT, you say?
TNT,
Okay.
Road transport.
It's a bit premature to blow your car up, isn't it, Jared? You know, he's only just bought it.
Oh yeah, I mean, just give him a little heads up.
I was talking with the lads today about towing, and yes, it was not encouraged. So yes,
it's a good way to reach in.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking if I can get behind a prime mover that's doing a backhaul or something, I'm sure a couple of cans in his pocket and he'll do it for me.
every kilometre you get towed gives you 4 kilometres of driving. You know that, don't you?
Yes, it does. But it's not for beginners. Then you've got Norseman, and that's just the Norseman Oval. Again, there's a great outlet just
Slide.
there,
Yeah, I'm familiar.
and the pin drop is accurate. And after that, you've got Cora.
Before you go past there,
Yes.
Some people, like there was Ian who did the jump from Norseman straight through to Southern Cross, but there was a place that's a little bit further, the name of which escapes me. It's by Yellowdine there somewhere.
Yeah, that's Cora Retreat. That's what I was
Cora
just about
Retreat.
to mention. Yeah, so
And you can actually get from Norseman to Cora Retreat straight across overland, I guess.
oh
Forward
no, I
driving.
wouldn't. You mean no, I wouldn't be doing that. Just
Well,
go via Coolgardie. It's much better, much
Oh,
smoother.
okay, right. Okay, so
And-
they didn't actually do that.
And you can probably make it to Southern Cross, but just in case you're getting nervous, you can top up at Cora Retreat. There's actually
I'm glad that's
there's a box there, and it's got a meter, and it's got a 32 amp 3-phase outlet. Plus, it's also got a UMC. So, in other words, sorry, not UMC, a HPWC, a high power wall connector. There it is, right there.
Right,
So
yeah.
that just plugs straight into your car.
Fantastic. And
so
that's,
that's
at which one? At
Cora Retreat.
And that's the one that's off the road.
Slightly,
road.
it's a little bit. It's I don't know, 200 meters off the road, or maybe 300 meters off the road.
Okay.
And then you've got Southern Cross, which is just the oval.
Yep,
And that's Pete. There's a little, what's the name there? The trick to this one is that if you look on the actual map,
Yeah.
satellite, you actually enter through here,
Oh yes.
and you just drive along, all the way along here. You go under this. There's like a roof section or shaded section.
Yeah.
You drive all the way around through here and just park right where that pin is, and that's
brilliant.
where the pedestal is for the
Did you have to
the
ring
outlet.
ahead for that one? To get
No,
into that gate?
no,
Was
you
it-
don't need to ring ahead. And then after that, you've just got Meriden. Meriden, you've got a bit of choice. You've got the Tesla destination charger. That's actually a great spot near the IGA, near the subway, and you
Brilliant.
can just charge there. There's just the two destination chargers side by side.
You could take your own charger, Mike.
And yeah, that's
Absolutely.
that's me. That's my Model X
My
just
own, yeah.
taking
Look at
one
that.
of John's spare chargers to Kaiguna.
Yeah.
Because the
I've
one
already
there
got my
stopped.
tow bar. I just have to put it on.
Yeah, well, exactly. You can. That's got a 2-inch receiver, and you can just put the shark fin on.
That's even better than a self-charging hybrid.
Absolutely, sure is. Bring the charger with you.
It's got
And then
electric chips all the time.
after Meriden, Mike, you're basically home.
Home, and then there's one in Northam I see on the
No,
map.
yeah, but you don't need it because Meriden to Perth it's not even 200 kilometres.
Oh,
So
right.
so
Okay.
basically you're home and hosed.
Brilliant.
So it's all
How long is
pretty
it going
easy.
to take you, Mike?
I reckon it's going to be into 5 days because I'm a little bit behind the 8 ball that I'm not going to get on the road until after lunch on Monday. So I'm probably going to, it's only 150, 200K from Shepparton where I'm picking up the car to go down to Bendigo. And so I'll probably end up staying the night at Bendigo and then the following day just going for it, see how far I can get before the sun goes down. But that's the current plan. So, but it's hard to know. I haven't really worked out how many days, but people are saying into 5 days. So, but we'll see. It's a
Eventually,
fast car, but
eventually.
if I'm doing 90 all the way, who knows?
Just be flexible. You just take it as it comes. It's sort of impossible to accurately predict because things can change. You might do slightly worse than you expect, or you might do better and then go to the next place. And yeah, just be flexible. That's the one thing that Pete and I learned was, neither of us planned our return or knew when we were going to come back. I mean, I didn't know until about 3 days before I came back when I started thinking, well, if I do another 900 Ks, I'll get to here. And if I do another 900 Ks, I'll get to there. And, you know, that's Carnarvon and then the next day's home. But just be flexible. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, I have no preconceived ideas. Quite frankly, I really don't have any commitments to the following week. So
Yep.
Have
with
you,
AFL
warned
season
Ruth?
finished.
Have you warned Ruth, that's his wife, that you're going to look like Pete Petrosky when you're back and just sleep all the time?
Well,
So I'll be
Pete's actually in a
like-
delayed comatose state from being in his car and breathing in all those new car fumes 24/7.
Oh my goodness, yes, exactly. No, I work all sorts of silly hours already, so my body's already climatized to
The
nuke
crap.
me.
In other words, you've destroyed your body clock, you know.
already.
And,
Yeah, so it's okay.
Yes,
Excellent.
Nigel, what's going on?
Going to bed.
Nigel's going.
Bedtime.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
it's
that-
it. We might, given that Pete's already got beaten us, he's ahead of the sleep curve. I mean,
I've got a 2-minute interesting story if anyone.
Oh yeah,
wants.
go on, Richard. Okay, let's do
About-
that. We'll
about-
round it out with that. Yep,
About
go
the
for it.
excellent service that we have over here in WA. I've had a problem with my charger not working. Sometimes it stops working. Anyway, so they gave me a whole new charger, right? So I installed that, and it was better, but it wasn't 100%. And then
Sorry, is this the HPWC?
Yep.
Yep.
And the same with my UMC too. It just wasn't working. Sometimes it charged, sometimes it would just stop, and it had stupid things. And I get red errors and all sorts of crap. And eventually the guys said, well, maybe have you got any other apps that could be clashing? I said, oh yeah, I've got a few apps. He said, well, I said, I'll get rid of them. He said, no, just change your login details. So you're a new person and just log in with a new password with your genuine Tesla app, and that virtually fixed it. But I had one stage where it just flashed out, went red and everything. And I thought, and it was booked in for a service. So I thought, oh, bugger it. So I just did a total reset on the car. I took the 12 volt and the 400 volt off, turned them off, left them for 20 seconds, turned back on, all fixed. So I went to Tesla to thank them today. So fix it all up. It's all great. So I got
Yeah,
a nice,
right. Interesting.
Yeah, interesting.
Well done.
So,
Yeah.
so it's all good now.
It just goes to show you sometimes, actually, with this awesome device, all it did, I woke up the other morning and the screen was blank, but the phone was working, so I could sort of operate it, but just not see anything what it was doing. So I had to Google it, and you have to do like an elaborate button press maneuver to try and get it to reset because you can't see what you're doing. So it just goes to show sometimes things just need a good hard reset and it'll come good. Fingers crossed.
That was
mobile phones every 3 or 4 days. Turn them off, turn them back on again.
And computers too, yeah.
The
Yeah,
IT
exactly.
mantra, shut up and reboot.
MMC.
Yes.
Has to be cleaned.
So say that again,
Adam?
So Adam?
The IT mantra is shut up and reboot.
Oh, yes, that's right, exactly. Well, on that note, I think we can't really apply that. Oh, Pete's up, Pete. We're gonna end the show. It's all good. So
Don't worry. You were go on YouTube. You were featured a lot, Pete.
yes, that's all right. We were drawing fake eyebrows on you and all sorts of stuff. So it's all good.
Oh, they were eyebrows. I was wondering what they were.
It's an eyebrow. I thought it was a.
So we're gonna end the show a little bit early because we've got things to do and Pete's got Zeds to catch up with. So Pete, how would you round out a show, an awesome show like this?
How,
What, Jared?
You want to just mention about this Saturday?
Oh yeah.
Oh yes, sorry, yes, yeah, absolutely.
That's why I work with the events team with Paul, because we keep
Yes.
tight.
Yes.
Keep
So,
going, keep going.
do you want to mention it, Jared, since you or Paul or Paul?
Oh, I don't know. All I know is something's happening at Valley Social.
Oh, okay. So,
but I don't know what time.
I believe, and Pete can correct me, but I believe from 10 a.m. at Valley
10:30.
Social. Sorry.
10:30.
Oh.
I got 10.
Facebook said 10:30.
Yeah,
10:30 to 1.
Great events committee, Jared.
Yeah,
Sorry, what's that?
Well, if we don't organise it and we're told about something after.
Okay, so all right, so if one at a time, so it's 10:30
What is it?
at Valley Social in the Swan
Social.
Valley. So you just look up Valley Social. It's the old Elmars, but I believe that Google has Valley Social now in its map, and the cars do. And it will be a welcoming, an official welcoming of the two Model Ys that went around Australia simultaneously. So that'll be welcoming Pete and the other guy, formally as a club event at Valley Social from 10:30 onwards.
Saturday. It's Saturday.
On Saturday. Saturday the 17th of September, and we'll have parking basically at the.
Jeez.
Awesome. We'll have parking on the grassed area just like last time, which I'll just bring that up.
Alex, you'll be there.
I'll be there. Yeah.
You cut the ribbon, organising the meet and greets with Peter and Harold. And
Yeah, I'll
Paul,
organise.
got the merch stand ready. We'll be selling off some of the t-shirts and special signatures.
So at Valley Social, you've got your main parking here, but if you actually go in at the first entrance and you just drive along this driveway here, you've got the grassed area all here with a marquee.
Just follow the red flags. The red flags will be there advertising.
Oh, yes. Yeah, of course, yes. And that's just Valley Social, which, like I said, is on Google now. So you can just search for Valley Social directly, and that'll get you there in the Swan Valley. And like I said, that'll be a great celebration, particularly of Pete's achievement of his first time big lap, which is an awesome thing to have done. So 10:30 Saturday, the 17th of September.
Yep, correct.
It's on Facebook, I believe, and it will be on an email tomorrow.
Smoky.
There you go.
Cool.
Fantastic. You there, Paul?
So, Alex, so you got anything, Alex?
10:30.
Joe, you coming? Joe, you gonna be there, Joe? On Saturday?
A long way, isn't it?
It's not that way.
Yeah, once again we've got somewhere else to be at the same time that has just come up for one child, so we might chuck that child there and then come up. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Hopefully metaphorically, not literally. We don't endorse chucking children on Ask Us Anything. But yeah, we'd love to see you, Joe, and your awesome car as well, of course.
Yeah.
So that'll be cool.
I'll
Alrighty.
make sure Leonie comes with hers.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yes, we do.
Yes, with her car. Yep.
I'm sitting in her car.
Yes, you are. Alrighty. So, Pete, how would you round out an awesome show like this?
As always, stay safe, stay sustainable, and stay ahead of the curve.
And the best way to do that is buy a Tesla, which we've just recently done. Join Tokwa, drive around Australia, and ask us anything about accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy. On that note, take care, everyone. Have a wonderful week. Have a great weekend. Look forward to seeing you at Valley Social if you're there. Otherwise, next Wednesday evening on Ask Us Anything. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.